Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto was protected by the strongest Saiyan. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto was on the verge of dozing off. He was only 5 years old when he pulled a practical joke on a couple of restaurants that refused to serve him, and he just managed to get away from some chunin. After making sure everything was safe, including setting the traps, he threw himself onto his bed and fell asleep right away. Dreamscape. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw a medium-sized stone and wood cabin. It looked like it was atop a mountain. Where am I? He asked himself. Because he was unfamiliar with the area, he was cautious. Out of the forest emerged a man wearing an orange gi. The voice said, "Hey," with a cheerful, pleasant tone. However, Naruto turned to face him and appeared somewhat alarmed. The man saw this. "What's wrong?" Naruto questioned. Who are you?" The man grinned broadly and said, "Oh, you don't know me. No wonder you're so scared." As the name was mentioned, the blonde tensed and said, "Nothing to worry about, Naruto. You don't trust very many people, do you?" Naruto gave a headshake. "I see. We'll have to work on that. Listen, there's a few things I think you'll need to know later on, and believe me when I say, you may or may not like it. Believe it or not, I've been with you your whole life. Someone else has as well, but he's not that friendly. Always trying to bust out of the one thing containing him." The man glanced back to the woods. "That fox is going to get someone in trouble. By proxy, it would put you in trouble, since this is your mind." Naruto simply landed on his butt. "What do you mean my mind? I'm able to talk to you while you sleep, but this is the first time I could. You see, Naruto, you know that old man that comes in your house? That Hokage?" Naruto gave a nod. "I know he means well, and he's a lot nicer than he lets on, but he seems to be hiding something from you. After a little research, I found out that your parents were dead." Naruto asked in a somewhat accusing tone, "Why should I trust you?" The man said, "Did I tell you my name?" Naruto gave a headshake. He said, "Well, that figures. The name's Goku-san. I guess you could say I'm a bit of a guardian angel for you. There's not much about me that you need to know, except the fact that you and I are the same in personality. Thing is, there's one major difference between you and me." Naruto cocked his head, perplexed. "What do you mean?" "While I was never exposed to what you did this early in your life, I was alone. However, it was because my grandfather died. I never knew my father. Never got the chance to meet him. Not even after dying twice." Goku murmured. "However, you don't seem to give up. No matter the situation. That is where we are the same." After giving him a brief glance, Naruto nodded. "Listen, Naruto. This is something no one else should know. They may know of the other one in here, but they don't know about me. There are a few things I'll be teaching you, and after a while, you will be taking my place in this world. I actually changed you into a bit of a Saiyan like myself. The more you get beaten, the stronger you become. If you come to death's door, but get pulled back, your strength will effectively double. This is just a few things you'll need to know about." "What about the other things?" Goku informed him. "Not important just yet. They don't really apply unless you reach a certain level. You've got a long way to go to reach that level." "Why is that?" "I wasn't able to reach that level until I was far beyond 30 years old. My first son reached it in his teens. My second son reached it by the time he was 7. That doesn't matter much though. We'll cross the bridge when we get there." Goku's beaming face then turned serious. "Alright, here's something I think you should know, but it has nothing to do with you, or this village." Naruto glanced at him. "I'm going to be raising you like I would a son, and as such, I believe you should get the mementos I had when I was a kid. The power pole is one. The other is the 4-star Dragon Ball. The final piece, which I intend to give you, happens to be my flying Nimbus." "Flying Nimbus?" inquired Naruto. Goku informed him, "Yes. The flying Nimbus. Unfortunately, you can only ride it if you're pure of heart. That may be a problem." He stopped. "I figure you should get to Kami's lookout. The power pole is there, as I left it there when I went to you. Nimbus knows where it is. He can take you there. However, I'm not entirely sure where the 4-star ball is, so I can't really help you there. All traces of Capsule Corporation have been destroyed, as such anything remaining of the Dragon Radar wouldn't be around. Though if I could talk to you while you were awake I could give you some advice if you need it." "Why me?" inquired Naruto. Goku grabbed his chin and asked, "Why? I don't really know. I just sensed you'd have a tragic life ahead of you, something I figured I could help out with. Once I figured that out, I came, and I got placed here. Aside from that, I don't really know." That response appeared to be accepted by Naruto. He stood up. You said your Nimbus would help me get to this Kami's lookout, but how do I find it? Goku answered, just call its name. It'll come. I know it sounds crazy. Believe me, I thought it was, too. But it works. When you wake up, get to a place they won't know where you're at, and call it. If you see an orange cloud, then that's Nimbus. Try to get on it. If you can stay on it, tell him where to go, and he'll take you there. Kami's lookout should be the first place for you to go. Okay, then. Naruto answered. He paused and said, I'll go see it. How'd I get out of here? You've still got some time before you've got to wake up, so I figure that I should teach you one thing that will be highly useful. Meditation. It will help you relax, for one. Another is to keep your emotions in check, and improve your focusing abilities. When it comes to ki and chakra, focus is key. Naruto gave a nod. How'd I start it? Goku took a seat with his legs crossed. Calm your entire body. Slow your breathing. Clear your mind of all thoughts. Let nothing distract you, but keep yourself aware of everything. I'll show you. He began to meditate. Seeing what he was doing, Naruto followed suit. For hours, they remained that way. Goku was the first to open his eyes, and then Naruto. Now that you've meditated for a bit, you've actually gotten the equivalent of maybe twice the rest you would in a bed. You should wake up should. Remember, make sure you're alone before calling Nimbus. Naruto gave a nod. He got up and approached Goku. He gave him a hug. Okay, what did I do? Naruto answered, you've been there all the time. I'm glad to know I wasn't really alone like I thought I was. Alright then. Get ready for your day. You'll be leaving the village for a while, but don't let anyone know. I've written up a note, and took the liberty of placing it on your nightstand. Unlike the other one in here, I can leave if needed. That's why I made the note. The only one that would be able to get in here is the Hokage, so he's the only one that could read it. Get going. We've got a lot to cover. With a nod, Naruto departed, glowing, outside. When Naruto awoke, he was in his bed. He checked for the note, hurriedly dressed, and walked out of the house. Goku was right when he said it was there. I suppose he was being honest. Did you expect anything different? He was a little startled by the voice in his head. Goku? The one and only. I assumed you could only communicate with me when I was asleep. I thought so too. Apparently, since I've talked to you already, I can hear your thoughts, and you can talk to me like that. Didn't think that would happen, though. Naruto didn't say anything. All right, I have the ideal location for this. He departed from his apartment and headed behind the Hokage monument. Since nobody was awake at that hour, it took him 10 minutes to get there. It was only 6:30 a.m. He looked up at the sky when he arrived. Flying Nimbus. After a few seconds, he was directly in front of an orange cloud. So you're the flying Nimbus Goku told me about? It appeared that the cloud turned to face him. You think I could ride you? You see, he got stuck in my head, somehow, and said that it would be a good idea for you to take me to this Kami's lookout. He said you'd know where it is. Naruto gazed at it as though it were urging him to board. After a while, you mean it? I can ride you? Surprisingly, he did not fall through the cloud after jumping on top of it. Oh. So I have to prove myself, first. Wow, this is so cool. He savored the moment and then turned to face the future. To Kami's lookout then. The cloud lifted off the ground. 1 hour later. What appeared to be a floating palace began to get closer to the cloud. Naruto learned a great deal about Goku from their brief conversation prior to this. Is that it? That it is. I didn't think it would be in this state, though. But hasn't it been a long time? Goku informed him. Yeah, so it should be somewhat expected. The cloud then came to a stop directly in front of the largest structure. Thanks, Naruto exclaimed as he joyfully leapt away. Alright, just follow my directions, and you should find the power pole. You may find a few other things, as well. After walking around and listening to Goku's instructions, Naruto said, alright, then. He then found himself in front of a cabinet, which he opened. He noticed a few items inside. One was an orange bow staff in a case that looked like it was made specifically for it. Another was an orange ball that was glowing and had red stars on it. It was rated 4 stars. Boots and blue wristbands were present. Goku recognized both of them. Wow, they even had my old GI in here. What are the odds? GI? It's a fighting uniform of sorts. I'm not going to make you wear it, but out of this, the wristbands, the pole, and the ball. Those are things you're going to need, aside from the ball, which is the 4-star Dragon Ball. I didn't think they'd find it before placing it in here should I return. Unaware that he was imitating Goku, Naruto put on the wristbands and slung the pole over his right shoulder. He put the Dragon Ball in his pocket. Alright, what now? Now, I'll train you. You'll need to learn to protect yourself, and this is something I figure you could use. I'll be teaching you the Kame Sennin way. The same way I was taught initially. Thing is, you'll continue to grow the longer you train this way, regardless of what it seems like. If you're like me enough, you'd learn by doing, so I'm not going to waste my time with an explanation that you probably wouldn't understand. Also, I'll be teaching you more in your mind as well. A good fighter knows how to use his head in a fight. If you don't, you're nothing more than a brainless brute, and that's never good. Those end up being the first to go down. After giving a nod, Naruto returned outside. Goku was able to manifest as an apparition outside of his body. You're out here? Goku informed him, yes, Naruto. For the time being anyway. I'm going to teach you all I can. Remember one thing. When it comes to the Kame Sennin training, it's not just a training routine. It's a way of life. Naruto nodded, right. What's first? Work on meditation for now. We'll be up here for a few days, while you work on focusing. Remember, you have to find your center before you can do anything. We'll also work on your physical endurance when you're not meditating. Naruto took a seat and began to practice meditation. 5 days later, Naruto left his meditative state. Alright, what will we do today? Then Goku was before him. You've been focusing on meditation for the last 5 days, and now you've got a good idea of what's inside, your reserves, and the like. Now it's time to learn to draw it out. Naruto said, alright. What do I do? Naruto nodded and said, you found both your ki and chakra, did you not? The stronger one is likely to be your ki. I see. Thing is, I found 3 of them, not 2. Describe them. Well, if I had to put it in colors, one is blue, one is red, the last is yellow. Okay. Focus of the blue one for now. Yellow is your ki. The red, you should stay away from for the time being. Blue is your chakra. I've already told you about the fox, and the red energy is his chakra. Focus on your own chakra for now. Naruto gave a nod. For now, focus on bringing it up, and pulling it down, in short, simple bursts. Keep it around one specific level. Naruto did just that and nodded. For 10 minutes in all, he was able to maintain it steady. It was always at the same level around him. Although it was low, it was extremely low given his reserves. He could do it with ease. 10 minutes later, Goku spoke once more. Okay, let's try something now. When I asked the fox about chakra control exercises, he suggested that climbing a wall would be beneficial. But don't use your hands. In essence, stick to the wall and raise your chakra to your feet. Try to get off to a running start first. Naruto nodded. Try to land on your feet if you fall. That was pretty high for a first shot. I guess meditation really helps. Naruto charged the wall, climbed about 8 feet before falling off, and then flipped and landed on his feet. Naruto, good try. Go higher now. The way the fox and I see it, the point you'll master this is when you can stay on it for an hour, Naruto said, nodding and trying again before tripping and falling. After that, I'll begin teaching you the stances required for the Kame fighting style. Now, while you sleep, you'll be learning new things. Goku. Sensei, how are you? Naruto said, right. He climbed the wall a few more times before he began to breathe heavily and made the decision to take a break. I suppose it's pretty good. Although I don't know much about chakra, I am aware that ki can be applied similarly. Take a break and resume your meditation. We're returning to the village tomorrow. We can't keep the old man worried, can we? Naruto laughed and said, I suppose not. They both nodded and started meditating, but I think we should tidy up before we go. It could definitely use it, in my opinion. Goku said, yeah, you're right. We'll wait until tomorrow and then depart after that. You and I will enter the hyperbolic time chamber once you have gained sufficient strength and endurance. I told you not to go inside the one door you saw. You could potentially die if you're not careful in there. After meditating for approximately 5 hours, he opened his eyes and proceeded to fix a few things. He discovered an old tool set from a few days ago and began working on one of the buildings. Goku then turned up and began assisting in the same area as him, saying, I may only be an apparition, but here I can actually touch things, apparently. Naruto didn't respond and continued working for about 7 hours before he and Goku decided to take a break. Most people wouldn't consider fixing things up to be good training, but at that altitude, the lack of oxygen is deadly to the body. Nimbus. Finally catching his breath, Naruto jumped on it and called out, let's return to Konoha. Thanks for the ride, Nimbus. There was a squeak of approval. I'll call you if I need to go somewhere, Naruto said, and Nimbus took off. Naruto couldn't help but feel happy. It took him another hour to arrive at the village. Go ahead and explore. After the cloud squeaked away, Naruto smiled and sat there meditating for 5 minutes before opening his eyes to see 3 Anbu appear nearby. They soon appeared in front of him. I assume Gigi wants to see me regarding my small act of disappearance? An Anbu member with purple hair and a cat mask nodded. All right. They departed in a shunshin after she placed a hand on his shoulder and he felt her chakra enter his system. The office of the Hokage. When Anbu arrived, Naruto was with them, and Sarutobi was silently cursing out the paperwork. Naruto? The one and only, Gigi. I've gained a lot of knowledge during my absence, Naruto said. Much more than you would think I ought to. If you're wondering, I still have my own thoughts. Why are you now? Sarutobi said, you were never this calm. Naruto shrugged and said, in my opinion, meditation is to blame. You know what meditation is? Who? Naruto nodded. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, replied Naruto. On second thought, you might, but you'd think it could be dangerous. Are you aware of who it is? With a note of concern in his voice, Sarutobi inquired. Yes, if you're referring to a man in an orange GI who gave me the location of his former bow staff. He did occasionally mention a fox of some sort. Naruto shrugged and said, yeah, I know that guy. He says the thing is more troublesome than it's worth. He mentions a fox, but not much else. Do you have a name for this man? Something else got sealed in him at the time? Why wasn't I told this? Sarutobi pondered. It's better if I don't say, he said. Naruto declared, I told him that, and I'm not going back on my word. I think it was noble, he said. I didn't focus on anything else. He assisted me with meditation and taught me a few things. Has the fox he mentions been shown to you? Why? Naruto shook his head. Sarutobi informed him, I would not trust him until you see them side by side. Where was that bow staff, by the way? The place he told me about. I don't know how to use it just yet, but he said it would help out after a while, replied Naruto. He calls it the power pole, not sure why. Sarutobi went pale. Did you just say, power pole? That's right. Why? Is it possible? Maybe he's training him. Naruto, are you familiar with a man by the name of Goku-san? Seems extremely unlikely. Naruto stiffened. He was surprised at how quickly he figured it out. Then Goku was before him. Go ahead and tell him, Naruto. He's trustworthy. And tell him that I'm also training you. Naruto let out a sigh. You did say not to tell anyone about you, and I did give you my word. He has already figured it out. There's little point in hiding it from him. So, for him, I'll allow an exception. The Anbu and Sarutobi both glanced at Naruto. They thought he was a little crazy, but then he let out another sigh. That's exactly who it is, Gigi. When did he come to you? The night before I left. He said he'd train me for a while, and even gave me a few things. These wristbands and the power pole. They were both his. I also have his family's heirloom, but that's not something I intend to show off, or bring into the village. They'd think I stole it from someone. Naruto clarified. With a raised eyebrow, Sarutobi asked, he gave you his family's heirloom? Are you familiar with the Dragon Balls? Yes, and I know the 4. Star Ball is the item you're talking about. Naruto glanced over his shoulder and said, you were right, he did figure it all out. To which Goku answered, told you. You said he came to you. Does this mean he's in your head, or follows you around? Sarutobi inquired. Naruto shrugged and said, a little of both, I guess. He started off in my mind, but since he was never truly sealed, he can leave the body and give me some advice. Or I can ask questions by thinking them, and if he's in the head, he can answer. Either way, he's been helping me so far. Come to think of it, why do you keep mentioning a fox? I doubt he wants you to know about that yet. You aren't really old enough to learn of this. Should you become a genin, he'll be able to tell you then. If he can hear me, then he is not to let you know until you become a genin. However, I'd have to give you a few scrolls for the 3 Academy Jutsu, as you'll need them. Just tell him I can hear him. I doubt you'd be able to perform low-level techniques, so that's one of the reasons I'm training you to control your chakra. He says he can hear you, no surprise being as he's outside of the body right now, but he thinks I'd be better off with a few high-level substitutes due to my high levels of chakra. Well then, Goku, if you're familiar with any cloning techniques, then feel free to teach him one of those. There's the Kawarimi. And finally, transformation. Sarutobi went pale as Naruto grinned and said, I've already got transformation down. Remember the one thing I used to beat you once? I think I should rename it, though. Hey, use it to transform into me. Let's see how good you can get it. Naruto nodded as he gave him a look. Transform. He transformed into his orange GI, a perfect duplicate of Goku. Nice. Perfect shape, size, muscles. Wow, this is good. In an exact replica of Goku's voice, Naruto said, "Go on, check it." Goku smiled at him and said, "You even got my voice right." It had an Anbu staring at it. This isn't the transformation jutsu. Naruto turned back to himself and asked, "What do you mean?" "You didn't put yourself in the illusion. You actually become the person. That's what sets them apart. A true transformation jutsu. Not seen before, but it is good." The Anbu caught Sarutobi's attention. "What would you say is the difference?" "It's like the difference between a clone and a shadow clone. That's basically it. This is a real version of the transformation jutsu." Naruto nodded and said, "True transformation jutsu. Nice. I do know a way to multiply yourself, but it doesn't use chakra. Form technique. Picked it up from an old friend of mine. And Kawarimi? Afterimage works as well, but it's a good idea you learn the one they want. We'll need the Kawarimi. Maybe that shadow clone that he mentioned could help." "True. If you can't perform a normal transformation, but can do a true transformation, then maybe you'd do better if the clone were real, and not just an illusion." "Yeah, a real clone would probably be better for me than a mere illusion," Naruto continued. "Oh yeah, there's something I'd like to ask him." Sarutobi said, "I see." Naruto nodded and said, "He's got a question, doesn't he?" Naruto asked again, "Is there a hand-to-hand specialist in the village? Maybe an exercise nut?" "There is, but he's a little eccentric. He can't be that bad." Knowing who he was referring to, one of the Anbu stiffened. This one had hair that defied gravity like silver. "I beg to differ, Naruto. The guy is crazy about the power of youth. I've heard worse. He's heard worse, apparently. How much worse? I'd have to see him first, to find out the level of his obsession, but when you've gone up against people that has always tried to beat me and always lost, even his children lost to my children, you kind of get used to crazy and insane people. You don't really lose it yourself, but you learn to ignore it after a while. I get it. Not revenge obsessed, but obsessed with regaining pride of some sort?" "Bingo." Naruto nodded and said, "Got it. Anyway, if I go missing, it's because I'm going under his training. I won't be able to do the majority of it in the village anyway. I'd still like to go for the ninja academy, if I'm up to his standards by then." Both Sarutobi and Goku nodded, "And if you're not? Then I wait another year to go in. Only do that once, though. I've got 2 years to do this. I should be just fine." At that, Goku gave a nod. "A year and 6 months at the most to get up there. It shouldn't take that long. I'll still be training you in your studies, however, if you finish my training before that time, I'll be taking you to one of my former teachers. He'll help you out." Naruto gave a nod. To the confusion of the others, Sarutobi said, "If you are to leave the village, then I believe you can go right now. The villagers are too ignorant of the truth. It would be best if you leave, however, I believe I could send one Anbu that I know will help you, and not hinder you, Bear." "Sir. You'll be leaving with Naruto on this particular trip. As much as I don't doubt the ability of his teacher, he will need to learn a lot more than anyone else," Sarutobi said. "He won't be able to get where I was at for the last 5 days. There are only 2 ways, one of which is now gone due to one piece being destroyed. The other, he's not capable of. It's far too high for any ninja to jump, and he can't fly." Sarutobi said, "You can't get up there either, then." The others went into shock when he said, "Actually, I do have one method of flight. The only problem is, I can ride it, and I'm not sure if he can." Goku glanced back at him. "Hey, Naruto. That damn fox seems to be calling me. Might want to see what it wants, and cool it down." At that, Naruto simply sighed. "Alright Gigi. I'll go, but if he can't ride the Nimbus Cloud, he won't be able to come. I've still got a few things to fix up there." Sarutobi gave a headshake. "You shouldn't be without protection. If you don't call being so high in the air, with no way down but a drop that would make a ninja splatter on impact with water, a protected place, then I don't know where else to go. It's far above the clouds. Seriously, I'm so close to outer space I can almost touch it." Naruto clarified. With a smile, Naruto said, "That high, huh? There's also one place in there that we think I could use, but I'm not going to just yet. My body wouldn't be able to handle it. At least that's what he said." Sarutobi merely gave a nod. "Might I ask that you do the training around the elemental nations, minus Earth country, with an ANBU and then go for the rest of it there?" I don't see why not. Thing is, I still need to get better control. Even 5 days of meditation and lessons I didn't gain much control. I have better control over ki than chakra, but I don't know why. It's probably the reserves. It's not the reserves, Naruto. You have more ki than chakra. Reserves aren't the reason. You're learning to access your ki, and your control over it raises your control over chakra. Being as ki is a part of chakra. That is why meditation works for this. What was that fox looking for? I'll tell you when you get in here. For now, stay out there, and make sure you're okay on that end. Bear is a lot more kind-hearted than most here. He should be alright with Nimbus. If not, the one with the cat mask is. She's kinder than him, apparently. Alright. We're going to try. Gigi, Bear and Cat seem most likely to be able to get on the ride, but Cat has a better chance than Bear. His opinion, not mine. I'll be staying in the village for a bit, before we go. Goku did say there's a reason for everything, even if it's not visible at first. He said. That's all I've got. Sarutobi gave a nod. Dog, get Guy in here. I think we have someone his training will benefit before he goes. The Anbu in the dog mask said, yes sir, and walked away. Naruto, I truly hope Goku hasn't met someone like Guy, but if he has, I can honestly say, he's better suited than anyone else. Only he can teach you to use the power pole, as not even I know how to use it. And to think I know everything Bojutsu. I know little about its abilities, as it's been a closely guarded secret for millennia. That's when Dog and Guy entered the room. You wanted to see me, Lord Hokage? Yes. I believe there is someone here that will benefit from your intense training. Sarutobi replied. It was then that Goku emerged. The fox is acting like Chi-Chi. That's not a good thing for me. So, that's Guy, huh? Looks like it, Naruto reflected. Got it. So, who is it? Exclaimed Guy. Raise your hand, Naruto. He's a great martial artist. Of that, I can guarantee. The majority of the best warriors that have ever lived have had some kind of quirk. The majority of them something as silly as gambling, or perverted tendencies. This is why I developed the sexy jutsu. Naruto held up his hand and said, there are too many perverts around. It's me. And Gigi, I already got the go for it. He's good for what I need to get there. Sarutobi gave a nod. Then Guy, I believe you should drop the power of youth speech. I'm not sure if he can handle that kind of torture. I'm not going to go for the green bodysuit, though. I think I should have gone for the GI I found. Leaving it behind seemed like a good idea at the time, especially seeing as the majority of this village looks like they hate you. Gigi, is there anyone I should be careful of when going through this? If you come across Anbu with a strange symbol on their masks, don't get too close, and don't listen to a word they say. Sarutobi responded. Naruto nodded. Other than that, nothing else comes to mind. Then get going. Guy, I'm tasking you to get his strength and stamina up to the extreme levels. Guy gave a nod. Yes, Lord Hokage. Naruto, how about you and I go for some ramen? I'm sure you'd be hungry by now. Naruto gave a shrug. Actually, I'm good for a few days. Goku and I found some senzu beans, and I ate one. I still feel like I'm full. Sarutobi's gaze widened. Ramen was something Naruto never refused. If not for that, I would be happy to. At that, Sarutobi simply sighed. Alright. You should stay for a week. No talking about Goku, and nothing about the fox, or your parents, if the fox knows, until you are a genin. Naruto was simply nodding. I think it's a good idea for me to get his old GI, before we start. I already know where it is. There will be no need for that. I will help you with that, Guy replied. Young Naruto, I believe you will need some weights quickly. Got that covered if I can get it. I have someone else to increase it when needed to. They're like chakra weights, replied Naruto. Guy gave a nod. Get them, and come back here. I'll be waking you up 0500 tomorrow. That's 5 AM. Naruto gave a shrug. No worries. I've been waking up earlier than at the last few days. I'll be good. Naruto scaled the window to get out. The cloud passed by and said, Nimbus, there's something I need at the lookout. Think you could get me there? Squeaking. Immediately, he said, thanks. Let's go, the cloud exclaimed. The cloud departed, and Sarutobi and the Anbu watched. Guy inquired, did I just see what I think I did? Sarutobi acknowledged, I'm not sure, as I think I'm imagining things. Okay. If you saw him jump on an orange cloud and ride off, then yes, you saw it, and no, it wasn't a genjutsu. That thing was real. Dog responded, I don't know how, either. 3 hours later. After returning, Naruto touched down at his apartment. They said it was still locked. Thanks, Nimbus took off from there. Naruto discovered that his door was not locked. When he saw Sarutobi inside, he dropped his guard and went inside. Sarutobi said, "Ah, welcome home, Naruto. I take it that's the GI you mentioned?" Naruto gave a nod. This was his when he was a kid. Besides, it's orange. I always liked orange. Sarutobi gave a nod. It was accurate. No color would appeal to him more than orange. This fact was well known. At least it's better than the green spandex. We got 3 in agreement on that subject. 3? After closing his eyes for a moment, Naruto noticed that there were only 2 Anbu, both of which had been in the office the last time he was there. He sighed as he opened them. The fox talked to me on the way there. Goku did at the same time, and said they have a mutual agreement. I'm not really going into the details, because they didn't explain it, saying it won't matter until I was older. Sarutobi inquired, the 2 managed to make a deal? That's all I was told. I don't know what the deal was, nor do I know how it pertains to me, Naruto stated to him. Sarutobi examined his face and saw no signs of deception. Alright, but be careful of that fox. You weren't supposed to know of him unless you were a Chunin at least. As such, it is an S-class secret of the village. Only you and I can make exceptions. Naruto gave a nod. Sarutobi nodded and left him alone, saying, I really need to get some rest, Gigi. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to lay down, after resetting the traps. Considering how active he had been during the day, he fell asleep promptly. The following morning. Naruto was getting up at 4:30 in the morning. He got ready, went out, locked his house, and sat to meditate on the roof. Naruto opened his eyes as Guy appeared in front of him at precisely 5 o'clock. Good, you're already up and ready to go. For now, we will do 100 laps around the village. Then we will do 500 push-ups, followed by 300 squats. Guy. Sensei, that would be a bit much for the time being. Remember, I'm only 5 years old, and I may have a lot of stamina, but not that much. The way I am now, I'd have already passed out before I reached 250 push-ups, if we went in that order. My body will not be able to handle it. So basically, I'd train until I drop. Gazing at him, Guy saw that he was correct. You already know of your limits, then we shall see if you're right. Come. Goku watched from inside Naruto's head as he and Guy jogged through the village. He wanted to see how the training went because the fox wasn't up yet. As Naruto stated, he completed 247 push-ups and 100 laps around the village before passing out. As he checked his pulse, Guy thought, 3 off of his estimate. He really is aware of his limits. He was not conscious. Well then, I shall see how fast he can recover. He woke up before 4 hours had passed. Naruto noticed Guy seated beside him. 4 hours, and you wake up. You ready to continue? Naruto gave a headshake. Naruto nodded and began to meditate, saying, give me a few minutes for meditation. I'll need that more. The mindscape Naruto discovered that he was facing Goku. Naruto questioned, so, what's the damage with what he did? Goku answered, nothing more than physical exhaustion. You still have plenty of energy left. Still, his training so far is dwarfed by the hyperbolic time chamber. It only proves my point saying you aren't ready for it. Thanks to the fox, you heal pretty fast. If not for me turning you into a Saiyan, you wouldn't have been able to handle that much, especially not with your weights. Weights? Yeah, I activated the wristbands and boots. They're all at 50 pounds each. I did this right when you started. You could have gone longer if I didn't, but that's the reason you couldn't go on. Goku clarified. Wait. So I did all that with 200 pounds weighing me down? Replied Naruto. Goku gave a nod. Okay. What's up with that deal you said you made with the fox? I already said it doesn't affect you yet. For now, it only affects me and him. Or her. I don't know much about foxes. Goku responded. Anyway, I'll be working on a few things in here, watching your progress every now and then, and making judgments on which style you should really learn. Why not teach a little of each? Sticking with one style would make it a little predictable, wouldn't it? Naruto pondered. Yes, but that would normally defeat the purpose of a style. Goku looked up. The fox did say that unpredictability is key for a ninja, which you do wish to become. How would you be using all 3? Naruto considered it. Goku glanced at him and grinned at the simplicity, saying, I've got it. Combine them, and make a new one. How do you plan to do that? I don't know. If I train to switch from style to style without warning, that would make it at least somewhat easy. I need to learn all of them, up to the middle ranks, I think. Then, I look towards combining them. I don't think it would be a good idea to truly master any of them, and stop just short of mastering them. Goku went on, then you wouldn't be focusing on any one of them. Naruto exclaimed, and I'd be able to switch it up when needed. Genius. They congratulated one another. Alright, when we get there, we'll work on it. Might even add the fox's style into the mix. Make it even better, Goku said. Naruto said, sweet. Alright, I think I should head out there and get back to Guy. With his typical smile, Goku bid him farewell, saying, I'll see you next time, then. Naruto returned the smile before disappearing. Goku turned to face the forest and began to dash through it. I gotta let him know this. Outside. Guy was gazing up at the sky when Naruto opened his eyes. Looks like you're ready to go. Yeah, I'll be okay. I already know that I've got taijutsu covered. I don't really need to train taijutsu under you, but when it's finished, I figure you'd want to test it out. Replied Naruto. Let's continue. Guy gave a nod. You should eat first, though. I had a senzu bean. I'll be fine for a few more days. They keep you full for about 10 days. I had one the first day I was gone, and I was gone for 5 days. I came back and met you in 1 day. I'll be good for 3 or 4 days. Naruto performed more push-ups after Guy said, okay then. Less talk, more exercise. 250 push-ups, and 100 sit-ups. After nodding, Naruto proceeded to complete them. In a little less than 2 hours, he completed them. His breathing was a bit labored. What's next? You still want to go at it? Guy inquired, genuinely taken aback. Sorry, but for now that's all. You won't be able to handle the full weight of the training, and you'll need to rest. Goku informed Naruto. He's right, Naruto. Rest up. Maybe tomorrow, you could show me one of your pranks. After you made the fox laugh at one of them, I gotta see one for myself. I assume I acquired the Uchiha clan at that time. That's the one. Then inform it that the Hyuga clan is the next target I pursue. You're going after the Hyuga clan? With their Byakugan? I assume you're the fox he keeps talking about? That I am, and how do you propose to pull that off? Those eyes of theirs are said to be all-seeing. That's what makes this one so lovely. Consider how skilled I am at pulling practical jokes if I manage to do it without getting caught. After giving it some thought, they all smiled, and Naruto could see that the fox and Goku were beaming. What are you thinking about? The looks on the old man's face when realizes a kid got past the all-seeing eyes of the Hyuga. Really? I've got the same thing in my head. Additionally, I have 2 individuals in my care who are contemplating the same thing. How does that operate? All 3 were taken aback by that question. A minute or so later, Goku responded, I have no idea. Beats me. And I've been sealed 3 times already. I still don't get that particular fact. Damn. Since you're speaking with me, would you mind telling me about the agreement you reached with Goku? Sorry kid. Not right now. I'm not sure if he told you, he probably did, but it doesn't really concern you. Not for a while. He did tell me of the hyperbolic time chamber. The moment you enter there, that's the moment it will apply to you. Don't worry yourself over it until you go in there, as it is best that way. Just put it out of your mind. By the way, you too, I'm female. A stunned silence fell. Naruto was the first to speak. That came as a surprise. What? I could have sworn you were a man if you're the same fox I believe you to be. I am the same one. Do you really think a male is the only one able to cause that much destruction? Nibi and Nanabi are both female as well, after all. Oh, alright, you're right. Guy was present, so he saw Naruto make a face. What's with the face, Naruto? Guy simply nodded in response to Naruto's statement that mental conversation just got a little creepy. You're not surprised about that? I am completely informed about Goku already. What did he bring up? It caused Naruto to flush. Nothing I should know about. Hey, I never said anything like that. Yes, but should I really let him know that I'm also speaking with the Kyuubi? He wouldn't be happy about that, and Gigi would view it negatively. He's got a point, Goku. He shouldn't talk about me, but you're safe. Being as old as you are, it would be a good idea to do something like that, until the secret about me gets out. Point taken. Guy questioned, is it something about sex? Just say yes, and he did it as a prank. Hey. Naruto's redness deepened. Oh, he did? Yes, 3 days ago. That is the reason for the blush. Hey kid, I think I can help with that. What are you? Hold on, what is this? You want your mind in the gutter, I can help. After watching it for 3 seconds, Naruto became pale and fainted from a nosebleed. Guy said, did not think Goku was a pervert, before he left. The mindscape. There was a cage in front of Naruto. There, Goku and the fox were having a fight. Why the hell did you have to show him that? Hey, it was funny. He's too young to see stuff like that, yet you already taught him about it. With his hair thrashing in the air, Goku screamed, telling him and showing him are two completely different things. How so? The kid has an active imagination to have thought up something before I did that. Naruto was surprised when Goku's hair turned blonde. Do you think that matters? The only reason he actually saw something is because you showed it to him? The fox behind the cage and Goku were both completely silent at that moment, with their mouths covered. Oh, and what abo, MMPH. They turned to look at Naruto when he said, for the record, I blame all three of us. Goku, because you taught me about it, Kyuubi, because you put the image there, and myself for thinking about it in the first place. Now calm down, and remember this is my mind. Kyuubi and Goku exchanged glances before turning back to Naruto. Both of them gave a nod. The constraints vanished. Now anyone cared to tell me why you two were arguing like a married couple? She's just like Chi-Chi, only fiercer. He's an idiot. Goku answered, I prefer the term, intellectually challenged. His hair had turned black once more. The cause of that was being raised on a mountain since I landed on Earth who knows how long ago. I saw your hair turn into another color, Goku. What does that mean? Goku gave him a look. Naruto tilted his head and said, damn. I lost control of it. That, Naruto, was the Super Saiyan form. That's the first time you saw it, and that was due to an accident on my part. I was not keeping my temper reeled in. Goku nodded and asked, you made me a Saiyan, right? Does that mean I can do that someday as well? Yes, I did. However, sooner or later, you'll be growing a tail. When you do, the best way to hide it is as a belt. Trust me when I say it's better that way. Naruto gave a nod. Oh, and don't look at the full moon when it does. Especially not in the village. In a hostile territory, I don't think it would matter much, as long as there are no friends or allies around. I'm familiar with war. Not a pretty sight, and when a Saiyan looks at the full moon with their tail still attached, they tend to turn into a 10 or 20 story tall ape. About the same size as the fox here in her true form. That would be about my size. I'm a little over 17 stories tall in that form. Goku gave a nod. Once you get the tail, you'll also have to work on getting it to no longer be a weak point for you. I did the same, and I had some actual monkeys help out with that. Naruto gave a nod. Alright then. Since you found out about the Biju inside of you, head back to my place in here, and get some rest inside. It's modeled the same way as my home way back when. As he departed in a light, Naruto nodded. As for you, don't do that again. I may have to punish you. Kyuubi's voice was a little sultry, but Goku noticed and grinned. Go ahead and try. Goku snapped his fingers, causing numerous machines to appear inside the cage and perform actions on the Kyuubi that should never be performed. You forget. When Naruto's not controlling the area, I can. Have fun without a certain mouth. Going in the same direction as Naruto, Goku made his way to him. Naruto, whatever you do, make sure you block out the fox. You don't want to know how she's being punished, and I don't think you need to hear it. After nodding and giving him the benefit of the doubt, Naruto began to meditate. Goku positioned himself directly beside him and followed suit. 3 weeks have passed since Naruto began working out with Guy. Goku had been increasing his weights every few days to observe how quickly he adjusted to them and completed 500 repetitions of each exercise. At this point, Naruto's wrists and feet weighed 700 pounds each. He was able to move around with ease and was still mobile. After completing his morning workouts with Guy, he went to Ichiraku's for lunch. He then went to meditate outside before joining Goku for his Bojutsu training with the power pole. Goku saw that they were never alone, so he never ventured into its special pieces. While Tucci and Ayame were pleased with his progress, they were concerned about his health. That's the situation now. The ramen stand in Ichiraku. Naruto took a seat on his typical stool. Ayame was conversing with Tucci Ichiraku as he prepared the ramen he had ordered. So, how's your training going? Pretty good, Ayame. I'm up to 700 each. I've grown used to them pretty quickly. Apparently I heal a lot faster than anyone else, replied Naruto. My body also adjusts to things really quickly, which I think is extremely helpful. You do realize you're not progressing like anyone else, right? The way you're going on is not normal. Given the training I'm going through, and that one thing I showed you, can you really say I'm normal? Replied Naruto. Ayame answered, I suppose not. Not many others have one of those. Naruto does indeed have his tail now. Following Goku's advice, he stayed inside during full moon nights. Not a single monkey attack has occurred. I rest my case. I'm not normal. Never was. Never will be. A life of a ninja, or a bounty hunter. Those are the only ways I can go right now. You know, you could leave the village. It's not like many people like you. I don't really want to see you hurt, but my father and I are alone in that regard. You've got the old man Hokage with you, but other than that and the ones that are usually around, but can't be seen, you really are one of the only ones here that I can trust. There's not many others that I can, but those I can, I won't abandon. Not even Gigi knows about that. Startled, Ayame questioned, you trust me more than him? With a smile, Naruto answered, of course. When he brought up family, his tone soured. You're like a sister to me. He may be like a grandfather, but you'd be closer, if I've got family right. Don't worry yourself too much, Naruto. You've got us. You're never truly alone. Thank you, Goku. Ayame turned to face Naruto and said, don't worry yourself too much, Naruto. I mean, how many others can go around with a smile on their face after what you've been through? I know I couldn't. There'd be no way I could. She's got a point. I'm with the monkey boy here. She really does have a point. No normal human could ever put up with what you've been through. Goku questioned, what did I say about calling me a monkey? Like the kid, I call him like I see him. You look like a monkey boy, hence why I call you a monkey boy. No other reason. You're crazy. I don't even have my tail right now. Of course. He does, though. Stop talking, you two. Or would you both prefer to endure that final penalty once more? Oh no, I'd sooner face Madara and lose control of my mind before going through that again. Then stop talking and think that the conversation is over. After that, neither of them spoke. He grinned, and Ayame saw it. They giving you trouble again? Naruto said, only when they argue. At least I found one thing that guy hates more than the one person he utterly wishes to kill. Oh. Ayame's eyebrow went up. A bowl of ramen was placed in front of him, and he ate it all up. And what would that be? That's my little secret, since no one else would be able to do so, replied Naruto. Ayame sulked. Meanie. Naruto grinned at her and said, you know it's true. There, another bowl was gobbled up. That's bowl 10. One should get going. I'll leave the money on the counter. Ayame put the money down and nodded. See you next time, Naruto. Naruto exclaimed, you too, Ayame. As he walked away, after arriving at his training area, he went to meditate. Both Guy and an Anbu were present. Guy, sensei? Guy said, hello, Naruto. I'm afraid there's nothing more I can get from you. There's not much else I can train you in, cat? The Anbu gave Naruto a look. Naruto, the Hokage wishes to see you. Naruto stood motionless, but he nodded. Sensing something was wrong, the Anbu approached him, but as soon as the hand touched the body, it vanished. He used the afterimage? Guy inquired, utterly taken aback. The Anbu nodded and departed in a shunshin, saying, looks like Goku is not kidding around with the kid. Hokage's workspace. Naruto interrupted Sarutobi as he was completing some paperwork. Hey Gigi, you called? Sarutobi grinned and said, ah, Naruto. Good to see you again, but his smile was short. Lived. I have heard of your progress with Guy. Unfortunately, there is no one better than he is with what you were said to need. Naruto answered, no need for that, Gigi. Is it okay if I leave the village, though? Goku does have more ways for me to increase my workout, since he's been upping my weights since I began. He has? Inquired Sarutobi. How much was it to start, and where is it now? He said it started 50 on the first day, and is now 700. He did help me with my writing and reading, too. Sarutobi gave a nod. I'm a little worried about this though. What would happen if you run into something you shouldn't come across? There's no real need to fear, Gigi. I've got 2 people that can get me out of a sticky situation. Both of them has done so, and no one's gone out yet. 2? Inquired Sarutobi. Don't tell me you've let that fox take over? Only when I need her help. Other than that, I've been myself. They say that I can learn better outside the walls than I can here, since people would stop me from learning, or just kick me out. I'd learn better out there than I would here. Sarutobi considered it. How do you plan on living out there, then? I've got a few ways. I have to do this solo, so this would be like the ultimate survival. If I don't make it, then the village will be happy. If I do make it, I'll be stronger because of it. If it puts your life at risk, then I can't say I'd agree with it. Naruto said, that's what I've been doing these past few weeks, Gigi. Guy. Sensei's training is like torture. Yet, I've gone through it all, and he's even said that there's nothing else he can do. It's up to Goku now, and he thinks I'm close to being where I should be. By all accounts, I should be dead. Yet I'm still here. Do you know why? Sarutobi whispered, because the villagers are ignorant? That would be a reason, if they made much contact. They didn't. I left before they could even catch me. There is little most of them can do. Leave them to their ignorance, and it will grow. However, if they were actually looking, they would see that if I truly wanted them to die, they would already be dead. You know that as well as I do. Naruto said, shocking the elderly Hokage. Is that really the truth, Naruto? I could punch through the wall right here and now, and not even hurt my hand. What does that say? Replied Naruto. Sarutobi considered it for a few seconds. Alright, but I'm having an Anbu come with you. Kat did manage to get on Nimbus last time we tried. I didn't take her to Kami's lookout, but we did go for a ride, Naruto said. Kat, get in here, yelled Sarutobi. The Anbu said, sir? Were you really able to ride the orange cloud? The Anbu said, yes sir, I was. I'm surprised it let me ride, considering what I've done in my life. Sarutobi gave a nod. You will be leaving with Naruto on a journey outside of the village. This is a long-term mission. You are merely there to escort him, and protect if necessary. However, you are to remove your mask for this. When the Anbu took off her mask, her lovely face was revealed. She was still wearing her Anbu uniform and had purple hair. You will also be assigned a codename. Naruto said, there's no need for that Gigi. I'd be fine calling her by her real name, and it would be better if we did, since the more observant ones would think it was a cover for something. I don't think it would be a good idea for a cover, as it will likely be blown. After glancing at him, they both understood what was happening. The woman considered it, too. The woman said, actually, I agree with him. It would be better like that. Alright then, you go Izuki. You and Naruto are to leave at once, Sarutobi said. Both of them gave a nod. I'll meet you where I came back from the lookout the first time around. We're heading out on Nimbus. He's faster. Naruto was startled. Sarutobi said, try not to lose him, Yugo. As she left using the Shunshin, Yugo responded, I'm one of the few that can find him wherever he is. After 10 minutes, behind the Hokage monument, Naruto was prepared to go. He had a power pole on his back and was wearing Goku's old GI. Yugo had arrived just now. Are you ready to go, Naruto? Without even glancing at her, Naruto nodded. Nimbus. The cloud swooped in and came to a halt before Naruto. We've got a long way to go for what we're going to do. The first place we're heading to is a jungle of sorts. Goku said there would be monkeys there, and Kyuubi did say the best places for that would be water country, or one of the surrounding islands. Why a jungle? Inquired Yugo. Naruto leapt on and said, you'll find out when we get there. Yugo followed him, but she was taken aback to see something encircling her stomach. Yugo looked at it and saw that it was a tail when Naruto said, this has something to do with why we're heading to a jungle. The tail of a monkey. They took off with the words, don't tell, Nimbus, only Ayame knows about it. They arrived at an island encircled by whirlpools after a full half hour. Kid, this one. Are you certain? Naruto inquired. Yes, it could prove useful to go to that one in particular. Why is that? I wouldn't try to get more out of her, it would be pointless. Naruto gestured to a clearing on the island beneath them and said, Nimbus, right there. In response, it entered the aforementioned clearing. Naruto and Yugo leapt off. The cloud squeaked and took off. Nimbus, there's no point in waiting for us. We'll be a few weeks at least. Thank you. Are you familiar with what this island is? According to Naruto, not really. I don't have a name, but they both agree this is a good place to be for what I need. And that is to get rid of a weakness of every Saiyan. The tail was waving. This tail, normally, is a weakness. I have to get rid of it as a weakness. That's where the monkeys come in. At this moment, a monkey landed in his path. But the fur of this monkey was red. Orange. Who are you? Why are you here? Naruto's vision was limited. Naruto's expression turned perplexed as the monkey said, wait. I sense Uzumaki blood in you. Well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, but how can you tell? I have been around for 50 years, and saw the elimination of the Uzumaki clan. It appears one survived and had a kid. That kid would seem to be you. However, you do not have red hair. Naruto questioned, what does that have to do with anything? It's from his father. His father is not an Uzumaki. His mother is, Yugo said. He does not know of his heritage, as the leader of his home village has made a law stating no one is allowed to speak of it. Even this much is pushing it. After glancing at her, the monkey returned his attention to Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. You will be wanted in front of our leader. He will be overjoyed that an Uzumaki is alive. Truthfully, I came here to work with the monkeys around here to get myself used to the tail I have. When grabbed, I lose a lot, if not all, of my strength. It's as if I lose it all as long as it's grabbed. Naruto said. Naruto's eyes grew wide as he said, I'm not against learning of my clan if I can. That's why the fox wanted me to come here. Fox? The Kyuubi no Kitsune. She said this one would do, but she didn't say that the Uzumaki clan was here. Said Naruto. She's the one that suggested this island in the first place. The monkey said, then you should thank her, and I believe we of the Lava Monkey clan would thank her as well. Naruto gave a nod. All right, then. Let's go, they exclaimed as they leapt through the trees. Naruto following suit as the monkey occasionally swung his tail. Quick question, Naruto. Why do you have monkey tail? Something happened a few weeks ago, and I was turned into something known as a Saiyan. The tail is a result of it, as all Saiyans have one. A Saiyan is born with one, but since I wasn't born a Saiyan, I wasn't. Half of my blood is from my true parents, and the rest is Saiyan. Saiyan, huh? Thought the monkey. I assume you have some idea of what a Saiyan is? Not much, but I have a full-blood Saiyan teaching me a bit. His name is Goku. The monkey was suddenly very happy and said, oh, I've got to find out more about that. Goku is a legend among all monkey clans. Summoning or not. We all know of him. If he is guiding you, then I believe we can find out what he would want us to do with your little tail problem. I'm sure we'd be happy to help. That made Naruto smile. Thanks. No problem. Before they reached a section with tree houses, they kept jumping and, in Naruto's and the monkey's case, swinging for roughly 5 minutes. There appeared to be a volcano nearby. Here we are. Hey, Gondayu. Before them, another monkey landed. Why do you bring outsiders here, brother? The older monkey's eyes widened as he said, the kid here is an Uzumaki. He appears to be no more than 6 human years old, but there is more to this one Uzumaki, aside from the fact he does not have the Uzumaki physical traits. What do you mean? Take in his scent, it smells of an Uzumaki, does it not? The older one sniffed a couple of times. A few more sniffs reveal, interesting. Both of them? They even hooked up and had a kid. Why am I not surprised? What are you talking about, brother? You remember the blonde one that came to warn the village before it was raised by all those ninja? He has the faint smell of that one, as well as young Kushina. I'd wager they both had a kid, and this is that kid. Blonde? Inquired Yugo. The only blonde that came around like that was our Yondaime Hokage, and he's been dead for years now. Which explains why it's faint. However, his hairstyle resembles that same blonde. But why is it I smell a lot of monkey on him? Gondayu's eyes widened once more as Naruto responded, that's because half of my blood comes from my parents. The rest is Saiyan blood. But that means... Kid, get on my back. You must talk with our elder. We need to find out about your predicament. Naruto was apprehensive. There is no reason to fear just yet. I know you are not lying, but the elder has final say. After giving a nod, Naruto continued. Ganba, take his companion to the guest rooms of our place. That will do for now. Make sure everyone knows not to attack her, as she came in with an Uzumaki. With a nod, the younger monkey faced Yugo. Follow me, please. I am sorry, but I must accompany Naruto. I may have come with him, but there are 2 reasons I did. One is a favor since his mother was a friend of mine, and yes, she is Kushina Uzumaki, but the other is because the leader of our village wants him to be safe. I take it you are most likely an Anbu then, if my calculations are correct, Ganba replied. You would be right on that. He has no true family with him, and being a Jinchuriki has done him more bad than good. At least he has found a separate family, but I still need to protect him. Neither Kushina, nor the Hokage would forgive me if I let him die. I doubt there is any need to worry just yet. Just relax. There are few people that can get here without getting lost. Few make it, but they pass out, due to walking for too long. Some of them never woke up. Despite his nervous appearance, Yugo nodded. They approached and entered a hut amidst the trees. With Naruto, Gondayu was standing beside Naruto. In front of them was a red, orange, furred monkey that resembled a gorilla. Gondayu, who is this? Elder Gondaba, my brother Ganba has found an Uzumaki in the forest. However, this one is a lot better than others. He has Saiyan blood, and Uzumaki blood. I managed to sniff them both out, while Ganda only sniffed out the Uzumaki blood. The gorilla gave Naruto a look. State your name. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto was unflinching. I take it you're the big guy around here. Not big on manners, are you? Never knew my parents. My village doesn't really like me that much due to the Kyuubi no Kitsune being sealed in my stomach, but at least I'm still alive. That counts for something, right? Replied Naruto. The reprimand from Gondayu was, show some respect. Gorilla said, Gondayu, shut up. Naruto Uzumaki, I sense you tell the truth. I have one question. Do you wish to live there? Yes, I do. Why is this? Because if I just run away from them, I prove only that I am a coward. If I kill them like I could, then I am only making myself out to be what they call me. A demon. I intend to prove them wrong. How do you plan on doing this? According to Naruto, my dream is to become Hokage. That is the ultimate way to prove them wrong. Are you aware of what that entails? Naruto acknowledged, not entirely, but I can learn. Alright then, one last question. What do you know of your heritage? Little, if any. The current Hokage, he acts like my grandfather. I never knew my parents, and I have found out that both of them are dead. Only recently have I found out anything about either of them, and that was when I came here. I didn't even know there was an Uzumaki clan until I was already on this island. I did hear of a law stating my parents are not to be talked about, and that it was for my own safety, but I'm not sure why. The elder said nothing. For a full minute, he appeared to be doing nothing. I see. That may be why you have the name Uzumaki, as well. Most would consider it a coincidence. We, however, know otherwise. It is your father's reputation that would put you in danger. I am also aware of what he is capable of. This law you spoke of may affect your village, but it does not affect us. We have seen one of his jutsu, and I know that only one has ever used it. You have his scent. There is no other person it could be. He turned to the person in front of him. Get me the book that Iwa Ninja left behind. In a matter of seconds, the monkey returned. He nodded, then turned to a specific page and said, here it is. Come here, young Uzumaki. Naruto approached him with little sign of fear. Naruto glanced at the page and nodded, saying, there is no reason for you to fear. Not anymore. This is the one we believe to be your father. Looking at it now, I can truly see the resemblance. Naruto said, that's supposed to be the Yondaime Hokage. You're saying he's my father? I see no other reason to think otherwise. You look like him, and you smell like him. Though you are younger, I have little doubt you are his son. You also give off the scent of the last princess of our island. Kushina Uzumaki. However, since there is no other Uzumaki, as far as we know, it leaves you alone as an Uzumaki. Kushina was supposed to be the next one in line as a ruler of this island. However, when she was on her deathbed, and we were too far away, this one man got to her, and took her away. Treated her wounds, and they left. I haven't heard from her since. Gondaba replied. Do you think you can teach me of my clan while I work on getting rid of the Saiyan tail weakness? Naruto replied. I do not see a problem in that. However, your friend will have to leave. I'm not sure she'd be willing to. She has orders from the Hokage. She has to be around to protect me. The only reason I was for it at all was the fact she could ride the Nimbus cloud, and I'd need someone on the outside when I go into the hyperbolic time chamber. Otherwise I would have come alone. I've got Goku and the Kyuubi with me. I'm good on company, but neither of them were allowed to say anything. Naruto nodded and asked, Goku? As in Goku-san? Well, that explains the power pole. We do know of his style with it, and also his fighting style without it. The monkey summons, the tundra monkey summons, and we all know of his accomplishments. We stick with the Uzumaki clan. The tundra monkeys stick with the Kori clan, since they have an ice-based bloodline, and the monkey summons tend to follow the Sarutobi clan. Gigi did say his surname is Sarutobi, then he would be following Enma. We follow the Yonbi, hence why we are the lava monkeys. We will teach you the ways of the Uzumaki clan, help you get rid of your tail problem, and at the end of it all, if you wish to sign with us, we will also give you a seal that you can charge chakra into. We can modify it to allow the usage of ki. It will signal us if you wish to sign our contract. We will reverse summon you at that point. Some of our members cannot use chakra, but are able to use ki, and they can use jutsu with it. It is a lot more powerful, and the cost would usually be the same. Learn the ways of ki, and through it, the ways of chakra. We can teach both. Naruto grinned and said, thanks to the elder, you won't regret this. I know I won't. In fact, I'm happy an Uzumaki is here. We will be teaching you more than you can think. However, your friend is not allowed to see your training sessions. She can be there to learn of the history, but other than that, she cannot be there. Naruto gave a nod. Okay, I'll have to let her know though. She may be around to protect you, but we can handle that. If the whirlpools around the island don't get them, getting lost in the jungle almost always do. Naruto gave the elder a nod. Gondayu, take him to your home. Also, get his friend and take her there as well. He turned to Naruto and said, my brother has already done so, Elder Gondaba. Come with me, young Naruto. After giving a nod, Naruto turned over. They were off. We will be saved by that child. He will inform us if someone else is available to assist. The following day after Yugo and Naruto awoke, Naruto went outside to complete his morning workout. 1000 squats, 500 push-ups, and 500 sit-ups. He then began to stretch his legs, which is how Gondayu discovered him. Stretching your legs? So Naruto said, oh hey, Gondayu. Nah, I just finished my morning exercises. Being a Saiyan and going through what most normal humans would call torture on the body for 3 weeks, you get used to it. Do I even want to know what you do for morning exercises? Not likely. He hesitated. You want to hear it anyway? Why not? Naruto resumed his daily routine. Aside from the laps, since I can't do that here, that's what I already went through. I've been doing so with weighted clothing, so you know. How much? Curious. A nod. 700 pounds in 4 places. That would be 2,800 pounds total. You're a stamina freak, you know that? Goku and Kyuubi say that often. We think it's because of Kyuubi that I can though. The reason being she's the reason I heal so quickly. And with me being a Saiyan. Well, you could probably figure it out there. Gondayu gave a nod. Well, get ready, because it's time for you to work on the tail problem. Naruto gave a nod. They both went to another hut, which appeared to be some kind of training room, and said, okay, let's go. The primary distinction is the absence of target dummies. What's this place? This is where we'll get you to relieve yourself of the tail problem. It's quite simple, actually. You just need to figure out how to move while your tail is being gripped. As soon as he reached the middle of the room, a hand grabbed his tail, paralyzing him. Well, it seems your curiosity got the better of you. You'll be in here for 3 hours. Try to move before then. If not, it will let go on its own, and the door will open. I told the operators about the level of your weights, and they adjusted it so you could not break it unless at 50% strength. That's your final goal. First, move. Second, destroy the hand. We'll be doing this every day until you get it done. It's immune to ki blasts, and even an S-rank jutsu cannot destroy it. Only a physical attack can. Good luck. After 3 hours, he was only able to move a little. It also moved slowly. He fell flat on his face as soon as it let go of his tail and plunged back into the ground. After a few seconds, he stood up and left the room, where Gondayu was waiting for him. Pretty good progress, if I do say so myself. Normally that would take days, even weeks. Is your strength completely back yet? Naruto gave a nod. Then let's go to the next part. You'll need to learn the history of the Uzumaki clan. We have all of it, even some things that no other ninja village knows. It took 5 minutes to get there. When Naruto entered the room, Yugo was already there. Yugo remarked, I see you're still alive, that's good. Naruto answered, they did say that I'm one of them, to a point at least. The person in front of them began to explain the history of the Uzumaki clan and their village, saying, okay, you too. Pay attention. Like a sponge, Naruto was absorbing it. He examined every word because he was so fascinated by it all. This continued for 4 hours. And that is the beginning of the Uzumaki clan's village. We will pick it up tomorrow. They led Yugo and Naruto out. Naruto went to teach Yugo how to manipulate chakras and ki while he was in Gondaba. He could hit everything dead center and execute ki techniques with ease. They attempted to teach him how to use chakra, but he continued to struggle with it, so they used the tree climbing exercise to teach him how to control it. The only reason he was good for his age was because he was already meditating daily before Goku appeared. Lunch followed. Having seen his eating habits firsthand and knowing both Saiyans, no one was shocked by how much he ate. Prior to his subsequent lessons with Goku, he practiced meditation. His power pole was with them. Back in the village, he picked them up quickly, but now it was time to apply them and learn their specialties. He wasn't flawless, but he was still good. A few people stopped by to watch him practice for an hour. At the end, he appeared to be about to faint and resumed his meditation. His first day was that day. This is how it was for a week before the lessons changed to something else. Basic math, physics, foreign languages, and even dead ones were covered. Still, Naruto took it all in like a sponge. It was the day before the full moon night after 2 weeks of this. Yugo and Naruto were granted a day off to unwind. It appeared that Yugo and Naruto were in a natural hot spring. Naruto inquired, "How have things been on your end, Yugo?" "Pretty good, Naruto. What about your other lessons?" "I finally got the tail problem solved. I can move around easily, and still pack a punch without any delay. Chakra control, I've mastered tree climbing, and even started sparring on a couple of the guys, on them. I think I'm good there. Yesterday's spar was a little hectic, though. A tree fell down due to the fact I missed my mark and hit it. Jutsu? I've got Kawarimi down, and I don't use hand signs. Clones, I suck at. Goku taught me the multi-form technique his friend could use, and I've got shadow clones down pat. I showed them my true transformation jutsu, too. Needless to say, some of them were surprised that Elder Gandaba had a twin before I transformed back. He laughed at that little joke. I'll admit I did, too. Aside from that, I don't have anything, since we haven't gone for any others, Naruto said. Gondayu approached and entered the same hot spring. Hey guys. Sorry about coming in, but this is the one for middle class, of which I'm a part of. Naruto declared, I've got no worries. Yugo blushed and said, You've seen me with less on. Maybe so, but that one was an accident. In response, Yugo said, I know. She had an idea. Why did you give us the day off? Naruto saw the hidden message in his eyes and said, Tonight's the full moon. Yugo still had no idea. According to Naruto, I get it. I'm glad. It was Elder Gandaba's request you take today off. I should thank him. He even taught me of my father, not much, but enough to know what he's like. I can't say I hate him for turning me into a Jinchuriki, though. I mean, I never blamed the villagers for their ignorance. How could I blame him, when he likely had no other choices, and no time to think of anything else? Replied Naruto. Easily, but it's that same mindset that made the Uzumaki feared. Their willpower is far beyond anything. However, given what you've got right now, we believe it necessary to build up a resistance to poisons and toxins. Things you'll likely need to be resistant or immune to. If you're immune to all of the lower level poisons, you can survive the tougher ones. However, starting tomorrow, we'll be doing that early in the morning, and give you the rest of the usual 3 hours to get used to it, and allow your body to get rid of it on its own. The Kyuubi is not allowed to help with this, as she would normally interfere. Make sure she knows this. Classes will get you to learn how to interpret any and all seals. You'll need to learn about them. Even though your Uzumaki blood will help, it will do nothing if you have no way to apply it or understand what each piece means. Naruto let out a sigh and nodded. You know, I kind of miss Ayame. Yugo inquired, anyone else you miss, Naruto? Her father, Gigi, even Dog. Other than that, no one comes to mind. I tend to feel some kind of connection to Dog, even though I haven't seen his face. I can't seem to make it out. He could be one of your father's students, you never know. Would I be able to pick that up without knowing anything about it? Asked Naruto. Kid, Dog goes by the name Kakashi. I was sealed into your mother and forcefully removed. You know that. She would have known his team, and by proxy, so would I. Thank you, Q. Don't mention it. I also won't interfere with them unless it gets out of hand. These monkeys trust Uzumaki. You know this. None of them seem to have any ill will towards you. The slightest dislike for you is actually for Yugo. Mainly because she's an outsider. Gondayu, I have a question. Okay, shoot. Do the lava monkeys have any trust for an outsider that isn't an Uzumaki? Not really, but they can become trusted. What brought this about? I have been feeling a bit of hostility, and so has Kyuubi. We do think it's been directed at Yugo, though. Gondayu inquired. That's what you're worried about. It's only because she's not an Uzumaki or lava monkey. There's no other reason for that. You shouldn't worry though. She came in with you and that does count for something. I even told the elder what she told my little bro. I can see why she would want to protect you, aside from her leader's order. Naruto gave a nod. He had already been given an explanation. Are you sure they won't try anything? He paused and said, if they haven't yet, they won't. I wouldn't put it past some of them to pull a fast one and prank her, though. Yugo stated, they already have. It was your brother. Naruto and Gondayu smiled and said, he's a prankster, Nuff said. When it comes to jutsu, what else am I going to learn? Replied Naruto. I know sealing, but what else? Gondayu acknowledged, I can't say. We need your affinities for that. Until we get there though, there's no reason to worry about it. We'll get there when we get there. Naruto nodded and continued to move around without doing any exercise. Due to the full moon issue, he went to bed early that day. After that, he remained there for 3 whole months. Naruto had grown close to a seal master during that period. All he has to do now is make 5 seals by himself, and he will be there. Using both ki and chakra, he discovered how to walk on water. He acquired the ability to fly, tail or not. He discovered that fire, earth, and wind were his affinities. He now has access to lava element, which has the potential to produce dust, but he hasn't received any training there yet. Since he was able to use chakra alone to cut through lava, he even possesses some wind jutsu. In addition to being nearly proficient in all 3 of his elements, he is also proficient in lava. Naruto and Yugo were prepared to depart. Naruto, before you leave, remember one thing. That seal I placed on your shoulder blade, that will allow you to let us know when you wish to sign our contract. I would not suggest it unless you actually become a ninja, and only summon if there is no choice otherwise. Or if you run into another summoner. We'll be watching over you from here on out, Gandaba said. Naruto said, thanks, Gandaba. I owe you one. You are an Uzumaki. I owe you nothing for that reason alone. It's what family does. Yugo, make good on your promise. Yugo answered, I intend to, sir. There is no reason not to. Besides, if I didn't go through with it, then I would never be able to face his mother when I see her again in the afterlife. Alright then. Since the full moon ended last night, now's as good a time as any to get going. He turned to the sky. He saw the cloud descend and exclaimed, Nimbus. Yugo followed him after he leapt on. Kit, head to Sanagakure. They could help with wind jutsu. Alright. Before they took off, Naruto said, Nimbus, full speed to Sanagakure. The sky Naruto let out a disdainful sigh. I wonder what Sanagakure is like. I don't know, but at least we aren't going to Iwa. They hate your father, Yugo replied. Kyuubi did say that Iwa is the only place where the dust element is implemented. The current Tsuchikage can use it as well. They won't take kindly to me being in the area, and as such, I won't be learning anything along those lines. I'm glad to know I've got a summon lined up for when I need it, replied Naruto. The longer we're out of the village, the more I think the Kyuubi isn't as bad as we are led to believe. She has been doing nothing but helping so far, Yugo acknowledged. I still wonder if she's trying to trick you into something. Glad to know someone thinks I can actually be nice. I'm just mild-tempered, Naruto laughed. Mild-tempered? Asked Naruto. He asked, as if to no one, you couldn't come up with anything else. Yugo was aware that he was speaking to the Kyuubi. Don't blame me for that. At least you're not a disgrace like most humans. I help out because I want to, and I kind of feel sorry for what happened since I couldn't control myself. You know of the story already, but Yugo doesn't. I know. Naruto hesitated. Is it possible for you to show her like you did me? Show me what? Inquired Yugo. Naruto said, what happened before Kyuubi attacked? It is possible, but she'd have to come to me. We'll take care of that once we return to the lookout. After you're done with your elemental training, we're heading to the lookout, so make sure she gets a book. You got a book on you, Yugo? No, only dog carries his book wherever he goes, and it's the smut that perverts read. Icha Paradise. You know of it? That's kind of how I came up with the sexy jutsu in the first place. I knew a lot of guys were perverts, and I managed to get a few looks into it and saw enough before I was kicked out. I'm surprised how much I remembered. The result was the sexy jutsu, and, by proxy, the true transformation jutsu. Sexy jutsu is my own jutsu, and it was made to be an anti-pervert jutsu. The first of its kind, I might add. The second installment of anti-pervert jutsu is something I have yet to use, and don't plan to use unless I come across a pervert that stands after the sexy jutsu. I just hope you don't have to see it. You're not old enough to read that kind of stuff. I know, but I needed some way to get the perverts off my back. That did the trick. I never went back. I saw a little too much, if you ask me. Naruto acknowledged. Looks like we're here. That we are. Land on the south side, all right. They leapt off when he gestured to the south side of the village and said, Nimbus, take us down over there. Thanks, I'll call you when we're done. They approached the guards. Halt, state your business, Konoha ninja. I'm here with the kid. We've away from the village on a training trip for a few months, since we believe the village itself will do nothing but stunt his growth. Since Sanagakure is filled with wind element users, we thought maybe you could help him out. We may be allies, but you must have a pass before you can enter. The security officer replied. Yugo produced the all-access pass she was carrying. After examining it, the guard nodded. And the kid? Yugo responded, not a ninja, and therefore, doesn't need a passport. He's only 6 right now. The guard inquired, and you're already teaching him jutsu? Naruto told him, what can I say? I'm a fast learner. You wouldn't believe that I came close to mastering earth and fire along with lava elements in 3 months. I found that wind is the easiest for me to use, though, but I have some problems with it. I have nothing to learn along those lines. Upon examining his face, the guard detected no signs of dishonesty. Welcome to Sunagaku. Do be careful of what you do. Both of them nodded before entering. Yugo looked over at Naruto. I'll look for an inn. You see if you can memorize the village. Find a friend of sorts. If you can't find one in Konoha, then maybe you could find one here. Naruto gave a nod. Just try not to get in trouble. First, I'm gonna see if I can sell some of my explosive tags. They will help a bit. I'll also find a bookstore, and let you know about it later. You'll need a book for when we reach the lookout, replied Naruto. Yugo gave a nod and left. Naruto discovered a shinobi supply store as he made his way toward a busy area. Welcome, said the proprietor. Naruto approached him. Can I help you? Yes, I'd like to see if I could sell some explosive notes here. I'll need some money, and I'd show you a couple of them before I do sell them, so you know I'm not trying to rip you off. Naruto replied to the man. Naruto took a handful and placed them on the counter, saying, let's see them, then. The man gasped when he realized there were 3 in all. This seal formula. There's only one clan that has ever gotten this advanced in seal making. The man thought about it. What's your name, kid? Naruto Uzumaki. I take it you recognize the seal formula as that of the Uzumaki clan? That I do. I just thought they were eliminated in the last war. My mother survived it, but now she's gone, and I've taken her place as one of the last remaining Uzumaki, replied Naruto. I've got maybe 2,000 of these things, all of the same, or better, quality as the ones I'm showing you now. These are actually some of the first ones I got right. They only got better as I went along. The proprietor gave a nod. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to buy half of them with my current wares at stock price. I'd be willing to buy 500 of them for a large sum. How much? The owner answered, 15,000 ryu for 500. That's a little below the last time I saw them, but most have forgotten that particular seal formula, and only an Uzumaki can understand it. I only recognize it because of the fact it is a style unique to the Uzumaki. After giving it some thought, Naruto nodded. Naruto unlocked enough to obtain 500 and counted them as he went through them, saying, you've got a deal. 500 explosive notes, Uzumaki style. The man produced the cash and gave it to him. It's good to know the Uzumaki aren't completely out of it. As an added bonus I'll also add some ink and seal paper. I'm good enough to use regular paper for those, and not lose any power or control. I've even tested them out on both. The type of paper does not matter with my skills. It would with any other, but the ones that are on normal paper, they have an extra piece on them. That adds to the blast and doesn't make it lose control. He juxtaposed the two. This one is on normal paper, and this one is on seal paper. Note the difference. Try them out if you want. You'll see they have the same effect. The man gave a nod. I'll do that. Thanks. No problem. As Naruto was moving around, he heard a sound that chilled him to the bone. Demon. Naruto looked in the direction of the voice and noticed some children teasing a little red-headed boy. When Naruto realized what was happening, he moved to the side. Get lost. One of them yelled at Naruto, what are you doing protecting that thing? Calmly, Naruto told him, you are obviously one of the ignorant ones. What I see isn't a demon. I see someone who is misunderstood because of a burden he doesn't wish to bear. Tears filled the redhead's eyes as he gazed up at Naruto. His eyes turned red with black slits as he scowled at them, saying, now get lost, or before I do something I might regret. When the kids saw this, they fled. If they run from me sending my Yuki to your eyes, and not even give off any killing intent, they are nothing but a bunch of cowards. Thank you, Q. I'm helping out because the one you just helped out has Shukaku with him. Naruto looked in the red's direction. Naruto said softly, hey, what's your name? Gaara. With a smile, Naruto said, hey, Gaara. Gaara appeared somewhat taken aback when she said, you look like you need a friend. No one wants to be friends with me, I'm a monster. Naruto informed him, no, you're not. The true monsters are those that are mad with power. Those who kill for no one but themselves. Monsters not only enjoy the kill, they do so simply because they can. No reason other than that. There are other reasons to kill. Ones that don't make you a monster. He stopped. I could be your friend, you know? Why would you? Because I'm like you. A Jinchuriki. I'm not a monster, so neither are you. Naruto replied. Someone rushed toward them both. The man yelled at them, please, stay back. Yashimaru? Inquired Gaara. I don't know who you are, but it would be best if you stay away from him. Others get hurt just by being close to him, the man stated to Naruto. He was shocked when Naruto told him, we're brothers of circumstance. I came here to train my element, and I ran to him. I swear, it's like civilians hold nothing but ignorance and fear to what they don't know anything about. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're like him, then why haven't you gone crazy? Naruto shrugged and said, I'm an Uzumaki. We're too stubborn for that kind of thing. Honestly, aside from that, I could easily connect with him better than most. I could help him out in ways that no one else could. Yashimaru, I'd at least like one friend that doesn't fear me, he doesn't. You know, Gaara. I could help you with a safe outlet for what goes on in your life. I use it all the time, and no one dies from it. Really? Gaara asked with a smile. What is it? Something was whispered into his ear by Naruto. You want to go and do that? Naruto informed him, only if they try something. Kitsune are natural pranksters. Yashimaru and Gaara both understood what he was saying. Yashimaru inquired, you hold the Kyuubi? Naruto gave a nod. I also know a lot on sealing, being an Uzumaki. If I could, I'd like to check the seal keeping Shukaku at bay. Something tells me it's not as powerful as it should be. If it's not, a Jinchuriki would never be able to sleep. Yashimaru and Gaara gazed at him. I can't sleep or I lose any control I have. Then I need to see the seal to figure out what's wrong. I may be young, but I know more about sealing than most adults. I even took the liberty of learning about demonic sealing, in case something like this came along. I'm glad I did. Naruto stated to them. There's nothing you need to worry about for now. Why should I trust you? Naruto said, not saying you should. All I'm saying is that something likely to be faulty or missing with the seal, making it inadequate to seal off a lower level demon, much less the Ichibi. I'd have to see it to say what exactly is wrong with it. Gaara gave him a look. Gaara raised his shirt and showed it to him on his navel, saying, I'll show it to you. When Naruto examined it, he noticed a number of issues. Naruto sighed, wow, this seal is really messed up. Gaara, not only is it missing two vital pieces, what is there is shoddy workmanship at best. Forget what I said about low-level demons. This thing isn't fit to hold normal crow, much less a demon of any kind. Yashimaru exclaimed, what do you know? That was done by our best seal master. But Naruto just stared at him. He spoke in a level tone, but Gaara could tell he wasn't pleased. If this is the best Tsunagaker has, then it's obvious sealing is not your strong suit. In fact, it's probably the weakest suit you've got. Lucky for you, I already know of a few that I could add to his seal. I cannot promise that it won't hurt, but I think it would be best if I do so. It's the Uzumaki style of sealing, and as such I'd need to perform it. You're coming with me to the one who sealed it. An elderly woman approached them and remarked, there is no need for that, Yashimaru. I have seen what was going on, since I had just left the council room. I take it you're the one that sealed the Ichibi into him? Replied Naruto. How do you even know of it? You are not from this village. I've known about the Biju for a few months now, and I already checked the seal. I'll tell you the same thing I told him. It's not fit to hold a normal crow, much less a demon of any kind. Biju are the highest level demons. May I ask how you arrived at that conclusion? The elderly woman said. Considering the fact you're missing two important pieces, and what you aren't missing is shaky at best, it's no surprise he can't sleep. The seal itself is missing a filter for the mind, so the thing can't take over unless he wants it to. Then there's also a chakra filter. What is there, is so messed up, it will overpower him if he draws on any of it. What you did to him is not safe in the slightest. For you or him. The rest of what's need is messed up too badly. The best thing one could do is make an entirely new seal, and replace the one that's already there with the new one, and normally that would be the case. The woman said, then what is the case here, enlighten me. Since I've already seen what's wrong with it, and I know of a few that can help, I place a second seal, one that is unique to the Uzumaki clan, over the first, and connect them. Not only would it strengthen the seal, it would make it safer for all parties involved. Let me see it before you take any action. Naruto withdrew a scroll and shrugged. Specifically, it displayed one. I took the liberty of examining several different demonic seals, but only a few of them can be added onto another. The one I saw on him is similar to this one right here. He indicated that it was one of them. As you can see, This one has some resemblance to the one on him, but the one he has is missing 3 things to make it completely stable. Now that I look at it, the last piece that I missed is a stabilizer. Without that, you've got something that will utterly destroy him, or his mind. The elderly woman examined it. Then back to the seal, then back to Naruto. I must say, you truly are knowledgeable. I can clearly see where I went wrong with the seal. I would like for you to help out if you please. Maybe you can do better than I did, and we'd finally be safe. Naruto glanced at Gaara, who gave him a nod. If I don't have to listen to the thing, then I'd be happy to go through with it. Naruto remarked, it's going to hurt, Gaara. It will hurt a lot. Gaara nodded and asked, are you really sure about this? Then we'll do this before I start training myself with wind elemental training, since I didn't get much out of it before I got here. With it being my best element, even with little training, I was told here would be a good place to be. The elderly woman gave him a look. Then we'll do this as soon as we can. We'd need to correct a mistake in the village, and normally I wouldn't even bother. But seeing what I did right beside what it should look like, I can't say I'm happy about it, but you'd be better off doing so. Even at your age, your skills seem to be amazing. Naruto gave a nod. Gaara said, I know a place we can go. No one ever goes there. Naruto questioned, you think you can get a sound barrier up? I wouldn't be able to hold it because I'd have to focus on the ceiling. If not for that, I'd do so myself. One cannot make a mistake with something like this. According to Yashimaru, I can handle that. Lady Chiyo, why is it you actually trust this kid? Because I have seen what I did wrong with it, and realized what was going on. If not for the fact he has what it should look like, and I can see that my work was shaky at best, then I wouldn't even bother. The elderly woman responded. After leaving the area, they all found themselves in a cave. 3 hours later, Yugo had been trying to find Naruto. If he is dead, I'm going to have hell to pay. Then Naruto approached her. Sorry I was out for so long, Yugo. I came across the local Jinchuriki. The seal that was used was so unstable, I couldn't bear to see it. I just fixed it, and I'm a little exhausted from it. At that, Yugo gave a nod. Uzumaki sealing pride, I presume? The reply from Naruto was, that's my guess. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how much longer I can stand without getting rid of the weights. After Yugo assisted him in returning to the hotel, he dozed off. Naruto has already been summoned to see the cage after just 1 day in Sanagakure. Both Yugo and Naruto were facing a man who was hidden by shadows. The man questioned, you who fixed the seal on Gaara, why do you bother? I can't say for sure. Part of me just wanted to get rid of one of the worst mistakes in sealing one could make. Another part says it's because he's like me in a way. The man said, then why come here, training with my wind element? There's not many others where I'm from with the wind element, if any. I figured I'd come where they are abundant. That's the original reason we came here. Fixing the seal was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I didn't know anything about it until I stopped those kids from picking on Gaara. The one word that caught my attention is something I don't like, not by a long shot. Demon. Did you know that summons are a form of demon? They're a much lower class, but they're still demons. How else would you explain a talking weasel? Yugo and everyone else were staring at him. She asked, where did you hear that? Gandaba and Kyuubi. They both said the same thing, and Gandaba is a summon. It's one of the lowest classes, but it's still a form of demons. All summonings are 20-story tall toads. A normal doesn't even get 20 inches tall. What does that tell you? Naruto inquired. The guy behind the screen said, you've got a point there. If we teach you a few of our best wind jutsu, and even help you with manipulation, will you provide the basis of a few demon seals? With the work I saw on Gaara, you need that more than anything, replied Naruto. I'm all for it. But demon sealing only, and nothing of Uzumaki origin. You wouldn't be able to use those anyway, so I don't see a reason to give those to you. They react to an Uzumaki's chakra. The man in front of the screen nodded. Naruto nodded and said, I'm excited for the demon seals. He saw a man say, Baki, before him, teach him everything about wind chakra, even the most closely guarded secrets. This is the least we can do for stabilizing the seal. According to the man, yes sir. He looked over at Naruto. Naruto nodded and asked, your friend is here to protect you, is she not? He gave her a look. You come, too, if only as a safety measure. Naruto turned his gaze back to the screen. Is Gaara still asleep? Yes, he is. And not one incident since he fell asleep. He's still in the same spot, but he is alive. I have you to thank for that. Naruto gave a nod. He looked over at Baki. I already took some time to memorize the layout of the village. Where should we meet up? Baki questioned. You did that in one day? I can cover wide areas in little time, and get every crack in the wall around it. I only went to find out where everything that a civilian would need, nothing dealing with entrances or exits to the village, if that's what you're wondering. I learn pretty fast, and you'll find out one reason why pretty quickly. There's an abandoned warehouse on the north side of the village. Naruto questioned, which one? There are 3. Baki said, dead center north. Naruto faded out, saying, got it. See you in a few. According to Baki, he's fast. Yugo said, that's nothing. You should see him without the weights. Last I checked was 3 months ago, and he had a total of 2,800 pounds on then. By now, he's probably got twice as much. The others gazed at her. I'm only saying what I know. He's done the impossible before. Why wouldn't he be doing so now? There was silence. After 2 minutes, Baki said, please, come with me. After Yugo gave a nod, they both departed. 5 months later, Naruto emerged from the warehouse. He had come to spend some time playing with Gaara, and they have become close. But the time for Yugo and Naruto to depart was running out. Naruto said, I'm sorry, Gaara, but I have to leave soon. I can't stay here forever, but I know we're going to see each other again. Somehow I just know it. When? Inquired Gaara. I don't know, but until we do, I only ask that you remember one thing. Killing does not make you a monster, if you do so with no other choice. Protect your family, protect your friends, protect those close to you. Do that, and you will be at your absolute best. Naruto stated to him, remember this for me. Gaara gave a nod. I hope to see you soon, brother. The Kyuubi taught Naruto how to smile like a fox, and he used it to say, just remember. If the council gives you trouble, just do something I would do. Gaara gave it back, but his eyes were a little mischievous. The gates were abandoned. Nimbus. The guards gave him a crazy look. Yugo, you got a few books to read? Yes, I do. 3 of them that I haven't gotten to yet, as well. Naruto jumped on the newly arrived Cloud and said, good, because you'll have a lot of time to read. He was followed by Yugo. They squeaked and took off. All right, Nimbus. To the lookout, they said. The guards couldn't understand. One of them inquired, how do they ride something like that? The other said, I have no idea. Watch. Half an hour later. Yugo and Naruto disembarked in front of the main structure. He showed them all but one room as they moved around, saying, here we are. Kami's lookout. This way, Yugo. This is the room I'll be in while I'm here. Exactly 48 hours after the door closes, I'll need you to open it. Not a second later. If nothing's changed after it was destroyed the first time, then I wouldn't be able to be in here more than 48 hours. Yugo questioned, what good will that do you? Why do you think it's called the Hyperbolic Time Chamber? Replied Naruto. Time flows differently there. Come to think of it, I was wondering if there was a way to find out any changes. Maybe a control room of sorts. Goku remarked, I totally forgot about that. It's on the upper levels, one I haven't showed you yet. Goku left Naruto's body and guided him there, saying, you could have told me before. Looks like there is. This is it. I'm sorry I completely forgot about this room. Goku searched for a few items. He discovered a note with clearly identifiable writing on it. He read the note to himself and said, Mr. Popo, you are a lifesaver. Thank you, Mr. Popo. Naruto, you can be in there for longer now. Apparently, the time difference has gone from a year for every day, to a month for every day. Every day you spend inside there, counting from out here, when you leave you cannot enter again for 2 months per day. All time calculations are based on out here. Meaning, if you're in there for a week out here, you wouldn't be able to go in there for 14 months, once you come out. There also is no longer a limit to the amount of times you can be in there, nor is there a max time anymore. Sweet. Looks like we'll be in there for what? 3 weeks on our end, replied Naruto. That'll work for now. It'll give you time to adapt to everything, and even learn what we haven't taught you. He turned to Yugo and said, 3 weeks it is. I'll be heading into the room. Hang out here for a while, read a book, stretch, but if you see a bean, only eat one of them. You'll be good for 10 days if you do, she smiled. 3 weeks from today I'll open the door and call out to you. Yugo replied. Naruto gave a nod. Naruto went into the room he was supposed to be in after they descended again. See you then, Yugo. Yugo said, good luck, and don't die. With a playful reply, Naruto said, you know me better than that. It was much larger than he had anticipated when he entered the door. Goku walked away from the body and surveyed the area. Goku said to him, "Nice place. Looks like I remember. Get back in there, Goku. It's time to try out that idea we came up with." Naruto entered a larger space. He gestured with his hand. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Goku materialized in a cloud of smoke and was touchable. "Sweet, it worked," exclaimed Naruto joyfully. They high-fived one another. In a cloud of smoke, another one emerged, shouting, "Shadow Clone Jutsu. Kyuubi no Kitsune." It was a woman who said, "Thanks, Kit. I'm glad it worked." She had shoulder-length red hair. She had black slits in her blood-red eyes. She had a straight 34C bust. She was 5 feet 6 inches tall, hourglass in shape, and wearing a blood-red battle kimono, which looked like a samurai's but without a weapon, with the title Kyuubi no Kitsune embroidered beneath it and a fox with 9 tails flowing behind it. Naruto said, "Hey Q. All right, you promised to tell me about that agreement you two made when we arrived. Well, we're here now." "Naruto," Goku replied. "The two of us may not be that good of a replacement, but we'd rather be your parents than just your teachers." I can understand," Naruto said, looking shocked, "but I didn't think she'd want that." "I do." Kyuubi replied, "It was actually my idea in the first place. The specifics will be worked out later. Here, we focus on completing tasks for the time being. We don't have forever, even though we have plenty of time. Once you leave the steps, you're basically in enhanced gravity," Goku cautioned Naruto as he nodded. 10 times Earth's size. That is, pay attention to your first move. A doozy. You may also want to take off your weights." After removing the weights, Naruto felt like a feather and walked away, taking care to take a cautious first step. "Thanks for the warning." "Whoa. The weights seem to have just returned." Goku said, "Told you. You had just adjusted to the weights. It's time to get things done in here and increase your speed to a level that is significantly higher than what you were previously capable of. Even though I'm no longer inside your body, there are still remnants of me there. You are still receiving healing when necessary as a result." Naruto nodded. "All right, what is the first thing I must know?" "That's everything about the 3 styles I've come across," Goku said, going over all the necessary information. "That belongs to Tien, Vegeta, and me. I can't really help you with Piccolo's style because, let's face it, I don't know much about it. Here's what I can tell you about the Kitsune style you'll be getting from me," Kyuubi said as he approached them with ease. She explained everything to him and even demonstrated the steps, saying, "It's a little tricky, but I'm sure you'll be able to find a way to implement it with the others. You'll not only be representing him and his friends, but also me and the Kitsune." After giving him a nod, Goku demonstrated the remaining moves from his friends to Naruto, who attempted them for a few hours before stumbling back. "That was a killer," he said. As he lay in bed, Goku said, "You wouldn't have lasted this long if you went the last time we were here. Now I see you weren't kidding or even sugarcoating it when you said guys training is nothing." Naruto sighed. Goku nodded and said, "And now you realize I didn't let you go in here back then for a reason." Kyuubi slid into the same bed as Goku and said, "You too, get some rest. It will be necessary for you tomorrow." After 8 hours of sleep, Naruto woke up, followed immediately by Goku and Kyuubi, and they took a bath. Naruto was a little embarrassed, but he quickly recovered, and by this point, he should be accustomed to taking baths with people, including women. They then ate and went to train. The real Naruto stood back and watched the feedback come in, and after every round, he began meditating. Goku and Kyuubi were slave drivers who pushed him to his limits and weren't afraid to rough him up in order to get him better. This continued for a whole week until he finally got everything down, and he started combining them all. He started using shadow clones as targets, making probably 500 each time. There were 10 defenders each time, and the rest divided into groups and launched an attack. Kyuubi watched as Goku and Naruto stood out there one after the other. "All right, Naruto. We are going to engage in a sparring match," Goku stated, "unless you can get that out of your ass, at least, I won't be going Super Saiyan, but I won't be pulling my punches either. Then I'll do the same." Goku was in his typical stance, but Naruto's stance was different. His feet were shoulder-width apart, his right arm was hanging somewhat limp behind his body, and his left arm was in front of his body, with his left leg bent toward Goku. Naruto nodded, and they both assumed their opening stances. He was leaning slightly backwards, so his right leg was bent at the knee, at about 80. "You know, I'm pretty sure Ayame would be pretty good in my bed," Goku said, revealing some personal information. Naruto was mostly unaware of this because he wasn't particularly bothered by it. "What do you think?" That got to Naruto's nerves. Goku saw the change in his face and charged, but Naruto stopped him. Naruto said, "Say that again, and you will regret it." Goku smirked to himself as he leapt back. "Say what? Wouldn't Ayame make a fantastic jerk?" "Yes, exactly. I mean, before I could do that, her father would have to be dead, right?" Naruto charged as he became even more enraged. Speed and power, check. Ouch. Goku barely stopped it. He returned swiftly. "Maybe I should kill off old man Hokage," Naruto snarled. "You never want to piss of a Jinchuriki. He apparently doesn't realize that," Kyuubi said, shaking her head. Goku added, "Maybe I should go to Otherworld and erase your parents' spirits, preventing them from seeing you when you do die one day." Naruto's growl became a yell that seemed to pierce the heavens. That was the last straw, but Naruto could take it no more. His hair grew slightly but became more spiky, his fingernails turned into claws, his eyes were a pale green with a black slit in the center, and he exuded a golden aura that Goku was all too familiar with. "Oh shit. Now I've done it. You put my family in danger. You put Gigi in danger," he charged, which Goku had to avoid because he couldn't possibly stop an attack of that strength and speed. "But threaten my parents, and you won't live to see another day." His eyes pierced Goku's soul. Goku thought, "Oh well. He pulled that out of his ass, it's time for me to do the same." To think that got that much out of him, and he doesn't even realize he just went Super Saiyan. He went Super Saiyan right away. Kyuubi struggled to keep up with the fight as they matched blow for blow. The battle soon moved into the air, and Naruto executed every move with accuracy and precision. A tremendous amount of power was flowing through the fight, and none of it was lost to the grace, speed, or accuracy. Naruto was on the ground, gasping for air after they had been fighting for 30 minutes. "You think you've won this?" Goku declared, "I got what I wanted out of it. Actually, I got two things. The first was a good test. The other one. In order for you to access the Super Saiyan." Goku picked him up and carried him to his bed after Naruto fainted and his features returned to normal. Kyuubi informed him, "That was a bit reckless, you know. I had to make him experience it, even though that is true. When a need arises, the Super Saiyan takes action. It cannot be willed to appear. He must now learn to control it because he has already accessed it. I needed to figure out how he could turn it on. I know now. Threatening people who are important to him is the only way to get a rise from him." As he climbed into the bed, Goku informed her, "It may not have been the best idea, but I've had worse ideas. That seems to be the key for him to access it." Naruto felt as though a stack of cinder blocks had struck him when he awoke the following morning. "What happened?" Goku gave him a look. "What do you recall from the moments before you fainted?" "Very little. I simply recall that you. Now don't be upset with me for what I did. What I'm interested in is the outcome. After the brief remark about your parents, which, incidentally, I have no intention of making it, you entered a Super Saiyan state. Recall the emotion evoked by those remarks. The Super Saiyan will resurface because of those emotions. It must be something you can pull out whenever you want." Goku told him, "You must learn to control it." Naruto reflected on the words and his own response to them. "What motivated you to do what you did?" Goku inquired. "Anger." "What triggered that outrage?" Naruto answered, "Family. My parents, Gigi, Tuchi, and Ayame. You put their lives in danger, their lives. Protection. You wanted to keep them safe, didn't you?" Goku said. After giving it some thought, Naruto nodded and said, "You knew you couldn't defeat me in your current state, right?" Another nod. "You summoned a force that was far more powerful than yourself." The call was answered by the Super Saiyan. "Defending the people you care about. Even though the odds are against you protecting them, you still want to do it. That triggered it." After giving it some thought, Naruto concluded, "That actually makes sense. All right, let's take a bath first. We then eat before moving on to the next stage. Learning to draw on it whenever you want," Goku said. For a few days, that was the case, and despite Naruto's best efforts, he was only able to hold it for a few seconds before collapsing to his knees. On the 10th day, he was able to hold it for a minute before passing out. It took Naruto a whole month to hold it for an hour, but after that, it came much more easily than before, and he was able to pull on that form instantly. Kyuubi had been training herself and even chose to join in on the fun. Goku said that he needed to concentrate on using chakra in that way because it was easier than it had been before all that training. In his normal state, he was able to perform jutsu that had previously been difficult for him. He even tried the clone jutsu, for which Kyuubi showed him the signs, and was able to create 20 of them. When Goku saw this, he said that the mirror image technique was very similar. He continued to use jutsu, his favorite being the lava, fire, and wind jutsu, and even used wind chakra to create something that looked like the Destructo Disc. Alright then, show it to us. Goku and Kyuubi were eager to see it in action. With a nod, Naruto began to spin the wind chakra into a disc, saying, "Wind style. Wind shuriken." The spiraling chakra went from over his head above his palm, to behind him and through it as he would with the Destructo Disc. That's the big one. Although it's a little more difficult at the moment, I can reduce their size, which requires less chakra. Isn't that similar to the Destructo Disc? Aside from the fact you use chakra for it, and it spins, that's exactly like it. Goku responded, "You did good with this one." "I agree." Kyuubi replied, "Now let's see you perform that same move as a Super Saiyan." "That's new." Naruto nodded and went Super Saiyan, throwing his hand in the air and doing the same thing. It was a little more difficult, but he managed to get it, and after a while, it exploded. "You added some ki into that." Goku replied, "That would seem to be why. In my regular state, I also included ki in it." He went for another one, and it went out just as far, doing the same thing as before. "Looks like I was. Maybe I added too much," Naruto said. "I'll try it again." "Correct," he fainted. "Training till he drops." Goku replied. "I admire his determination, but I'm beginning to think he's pushing himself to his limits." As they placed him in his bed, Kyuubi remarked, "That's the Uzumaki clan for you." He was incredibly determined. One of the reasons they killed themselves was because of their stubbornness. It is both their greatest asset and their greatest flaw. The way things turn out is odd. As they rested, Goku nodded. For the remainder of the time, Naruto worked on keeping himself in the Super Saiyan state for as long as possible. He was able to stay in that state from the moment he woke up until he went to bed. He dropped it while sleeping, and that was the next thing they worked on. It took him a week to stay in the Super Saiyan state for 3 days in a row without reverting, despite his training. He worked on a number of jutsu, perfecting them, even creating a few. Now that the last day had arrived, "Okay, show us what you've learned." As a Super Saiyan, Naruto nodded and proceeded to fire the Kamehameha wave, followed by a series of energy waves, the Destructo Disc, the Dodonpa, and the Special Beam Cannon. He even went so far as to perform one of the Gotenks originals, the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, in which they play a game of rock, paper, scissors, and after one game, one of them hits the other, and they both explode violently. In response, Naruto said, "I love it when they do that." Kyuubi said, "Now for chakra." The young Super Saiyan nodded, and Naruto used his wind, fire, and earth jutsu before performing the shadow clone jutsu and creating 50 of them. He then used a few lava jutsu and disposed of them, leaving the fields covered in a mess of lava. Commented Goku, "Nice makeover." In response, Naruto said, "Thank you." Kyuubi said, "Now for my Yuki." Naruto nodded and pulled on 3 taels worth of Yuki. The cloak was there, but it didn't do much to hurt him. Naruto's voice was not even strained as he said, "Wow, this doesn't hurt as much as I thought it would." Naruto nodded and added another tael, saying, "Still nothing." Kyuubi thought, 4 taels, and no pain? Unreal. "Alright, child. Me and you." Before transforming into her fox form, Kyuubi remarked, "Right here, right now. Let's see how long you can last fighting like that." After 3 hours of fighting, Naruto was just beginning to wear down. He was tired but not in pain, and when the cloak disappeared, he returned to his normal state, panting. 4 taels combined with Super Saiyan for 3 hours. Not too bad. "He's fine," Kyuubi said, transforming back into the human form she had been in earlier. "We're leaving here tomorrow, if I'm right. Thus, tidy up and prepare to leave." After nodding and sluggishly making his way back to the bathroom, Naruto relaxed and passed out in the tub. When Kyuubi and Goku arrived, they cleaned him up, dressed him, and placed him in bed before falling asleep. After waking up and getting ready, they all went to the door together. Outside. "It's almost time to let him out. I'm starting to wonder how much he's progressed," Yugo said as she made her way to the door and verified the time. Upon reaching the door and opening it, Yugo discovered Naruto, Goku, and an unfamiliar woman. "Hey, Yugo." Naruto replied, "I've come far, and I can only go farther." "Remember what I said about keeping your abilities a secret, Naruto," the woman said, glancing at him. "During your time in the academy, it's acceptable to demonstrate your knowledge. Otherwise, just follow instructions." "Who are you, if I may ask?" Yugo questioned the woman. "I'm Kyuubi no Kitsune, as you know. I've been as helpful to him as Goku has been." She tousled Naruto's hair and said, "He's grown a lot more than even I expected." "So, how are you doing outside the seal?" She answered, "What you see is a shadow clone of myself. Technically, I'm both inside and outside the seal. We came up with this so that I could train him from an external perspective. We managed to teach him the standard clone, by the way. Additionally, he can tolerate 4 tails of my Yuki without losing his mind. For 3 hours, perhaps. It was exhaustion, not pain, that caused him to faint. There's no denying that he's made great progress, Goku said, nodding. Why don't you take a plane back while she takes the Nimbus? Would you believe that I could stay up with him? Naruto inquired. Why not? That was Goku's response. All right. Naruto and Yugo ran outside and said, let's go. Nimbus, I need you to take Yugo back to Konoha, the cloud said as it approached them. Don't be concerned. I'll be flying with you. After Yugo boarded, Naruto transformed into a Super Saiyan and leapt off, with Nimbus trailing behind. Yahoo! I learned something else in there, Naruto said, turning to face Yugo, who was staring at him in disbelief. Do you believe you can manage fast speeds? Yugo gave a nod. I'll run you to the Hokage monument, Nimbus. Ready, set, he squeaked, surrounded by a golden aura. Go? Yugo was actually experiencing adrenaline from riding, and they were neck and neck. They arrived in 50 minutes as opposed to the customary hour. Hokage's roof and tower. What's that? Dog. Sarutobi was looking at the Hokage monument, wondering how things would have turned out if he had sealed it instead of Minato, when he saw a gold and orange ball moving toward the top of the monument. Beside him, an Anbu touched down. Go to the monument. I think Naruto might have made a comeback. He departed in a shunshin, saying, Sir, Hokage monument. Yugo was panting from the lack of adrenaline as Naruto and he stood atop the monument. How can you not be tired? Have you forgotten who I am? Naruto inquired. No, I just don't see how even that could let you go all that way this quickly. They're both involved. That's the reason. Only one person can accomplish that. The possibilities are endless when both are combined, Naruto informed her. Dog had just approached them and said, Yugo? Naruto? They both turned to face him. Yugo said, Dog. Naruto said, Hey, I assume Gigi noticed our approach? 2 lights caught his eye. He was aware that the cloud was one of them. Dog answered, the other he couldn't identify. Then he's not going to find out, Naruto said, shaking his head, not until he discovers the original reason for its presence. Dog answered, I think the Hokage will want to see you both. The masked man became tense when Naruto said, Sure thing, Kakashi. Figured as much. Naruto laughed at that and then passed out. With Sarutobi without a sound or warning, Naruto phased in directly behind him and said, Hey Gigi. Quickly turning around, Sarutobi was holding a kunai when Naruto grabbed his wrist. Sheesh, I didn't think you'd be so paranoid that you'd attack that quickly. Sarutobi immediately recognized Naruto. Naruto? Are these markings unique to you? Naruto gestured to his cheeks' whisker lines. How could you have moved behind me so fast and undetected? I suppose you could say I wasn't even touching the ground, Sarutobi inquired, and Naruto simply shrugged. Actually, I haven't touched it yet. Looking beneath him, Sarutobi saw Naruto 2 inches above him. You're floating? Well, flying. There's a difference. Naruto landed. It normally takes an hour at least to get from the lookout to the village. This time it took a little under 51 minutes. I flew and beat Nimbus. Not by much, but I still won. You were the gold dot coming down. A smile. How did you master Hirishin? Naruto responded, I never learned it. In fact, that was just me flying at high speeds. The golden aura was something that only my male children would have. Females, for some reason can't get it. Don't ask me why, because I don't know, neither does Goku. In front of them came Dog and Yugo. Lord Hokage, I have most of his progress before the hyperbolic time chamber, but aside from what happened in there, I know most of what he's learned. Unfortunately, I am under a strict code not to speak of any of it. All I can say is that there were 3 stops before returning. One was the old Whirlpool Island, where we came across the lava monkeys. They helped with a few things, then Sanagakure. Oh, and he fixed the seal of the local Jinchuriki. After he was done there, we went to Kami's lookout, as he calls it. I was there for 3 weeks, but he was in the hyperbolic time chamber. 1 month and there is a day here. 21 days means 21 months of training for him. I have heard of what the lava monkeys did with Naruto. They have let the tundra monkeys know as well. As much as I hate to say it, they were not affected by those particular laws. However, even though you found out too soon, you will not be getting your inheritance for another few months, when you enter the academy. There is only one thing left for you to go to, and that is your parents' old home. However, I'm not in the know of your jutsu roster, though I know it would be large. Sorry, Gigi, but I'm not going into it unless needed. There's a handful of things I know that don't even classify as jutsu due to the fact chakra is not used. Flight is one of them. I'm not using those unless there is no one for miles, or I'm going for a kill. Oh, and if you see a golden light, then that means that someone basically pissed me off beyond recognition, or I'm going up against someone that is far beyond me, as I am now. Sarutobi gave a nod. At least I know that you're safe. That's good in my book. How many times have you had to bail him out of anything? To which Yugo answered, never. Not once have I had to. Oh, and I did meet the Kyuubi. Turns out I was right. She's not as bad as we saw her that night. She appears to care for Naruto like I would a son. Goku also seems to act like a father towards him. Naruto leapt from the roof and ran in the direction of Ichiraku's house, saying, yeah, I know what happened that night, who my parents are, blame the lava monkeys for the parents, not Goku, and a lot more. Anyway, I've got to see Ayame and Tucci. Later Gigi. Sarutobi thought, he's obviously gotten better. How much better would you say? He managed to perform a perfect clone after coming out of that room. Though, I was told he made 2,500 Shadows clones seem to be easy for him. Oh, and he can give Goku and the Kyuubi a body using a shadow clone. He said that on the way back, as that's how the three of them left the room together. Yugo said, that's all I can say regarding accomplishments, aside from the fact he used 4 taels worth of the Kyuubi's Yuki for 3 hours without damage to his body, or loss of mentality. 3 hours? Asked Sarutobi. He shouldn't be able to survive that much at his age. I am not sure how they did it, but they did, and that's all I know. Oh, he does have a tail. You could probably ask your summons about that. Sarutobi answered, yes, I am aware of it. I am not aware of what that tail symbolizes. According to Yugo, nor am I, however, he does not need to be watched over by Anbu. He is more than capable of handling himself. Sarutobi gave a nod. I see. Continue to watch over him. He trusts you, so you can still watch over him. With Naruto approached the countertop. Hey, Ayame. What's up? Ayame gave him a look. Naruto, Dad, Naruto's back, announced Tucci, who had come from behind. Naruto? Is that really you? In response, Naruto said, sure is. 10 miso ramen, please. As Ayame questioned Tucci about his absence, he turned to work and said, alright, coming up, it's training, he said, and she should stop there. You're not giving me much to work with, you know. True, but if I told you half of what I went through, you'd freak out. Especially, if you find out how I unlocked a new form regarding, you know, that. Ayame gave a nod. She crossed her arms and said, all right, I won't bother you about it anymore. Before consuming his 8th bowl, Naruto asks, so, how's things in the village? Ayame informed him of the current situation. Not much, but the majority of the village was curious about the demon brat's whereabouts, and anyone who spoke in such a manner at the stand was promptly expelled. Naruto said, you went that far? Hey, you're like a brother to me. Naruto told her, and you're like a sister to me. But that shouldn't stop you from serving customers. You'd go out of business like that. If they insulted you, on the other hand, I might take them down a couple notches. Why? Because if you're threatened, my strength skyrockets. That in itself is dangerous. Add in a pissed-off warrior, with a drive to protect those close to him, I can't say things will end well with them. Naruto said. After that, he finished his 10th bowl, saying, if they ever hit the ground, that is. Thanks for the ramen, Chuki. After a brief exchange, Naruto placed the money on the counter and said, no sweat, Naruto. The extra is thanks for helping me out all this time. Why give it as a thanks? Because I'm not sure how often I can come with what I've got to go through, and I don't want to trouble you more than I have. I'll still come by every now and then, but remember I've also got to eat other foods. Ramen will always be my favorite, and Ichiraku's has the best ramen, but I need balance in my diet. Something I haven't had at all due to a lack of suitable ingredients. Now, I can thank Gigi and Goku for the land and teaching me of farming and hunting. That's all I've got to say on that. I'll see you sometime, but don't turn away customers because they badmouth me. He got up, but let me know if they insult you. I'll take them down a notch for you. I won't kill them, though. That is not what makes me who I am. He left the room. Ayame remarked, he really has grown, more than anyone else could in that time. I see that, Ayame. He'd put your life before his happiness any day. If anything, I can see that. Chuki responded. Naruto was making his way to his former flat on foot. There, he noticed someone. Yugo was the place. "Hey, what's up?" she said. "Ah, Naruto. Lord Hokage wanted me to watch over you just in case something happens. He is still worried about what Q might do. If she wanted to take over my mind, she'd have done it already. Besides, they both say I'm better than most Junin already. They know of my progress. They know better than anyone else. I even got the drop on Gigi earlier." After Yugo gave a nod, they entered. Naruto used his fire chakra to heat some water. Q knows she's not well liked in the village, so I still have to be careful about it. But when I go into the academy, I'm not going all out in practical. Just enough to pass, but academically, I'm going as far as I need to. I'll only do a jutsu when asked, or if going for a prank. Yugo said, "Don't tell me you've got one lined up." Naruto smiled and thought, I might. Then he extended his hand. I wonder who's in the Hyuga estate right now. Yugo could hardly feel the tiny chakra burst. Yugo inquired, "What did you just do?" Naruto answered, "Two things. Shadow clones, and paint seals. A Naruto Uzumaki original. You might want to go see Gigi. Tell him that I didn't go to the Hyuga estate, which I myself didn't. After I left Ichiraku's, I came straight here. I'm pretty sure that it just got it with a lot of paint." Yugo grinned in response. "You always seem to brighten things up. Naru, I want to see how you did it. Hold on, Q. It seems to me that an ANBU will arrive here in 3, 2, 1. Right now." An Anbu entered right away. Naruto nodded before fading away. "Naruto Uzumaki, the Hokage wishes to see you. Yugo? What are you doing here?" I was talking with Naruto. He had gone from the Hokage to Ichiraku's, then straight here. I watched him leave the ramen stand and managed to follow him all the way here. Why? Well, somebody managed to paint the entire Hyuga estate a trio of colors that change on a palette of 17 colors. Some are calling out his name, and Lord Hokage believes it was him. Well, I can tell you right here and now, it wasn't. The office of the Hokage. Naruto entered while Heishi Hyuga was standing in front of Sarutobi, who was attempting to contain his laughter. "You called, Gigi?" Sarutobi pointed to Heishi and said, "Yes, I believe you know about this?" Naruto chuckled as he observed the changing hues. "That's supposed to be a new look. If it is, I'm not going to go for it. Who managed to pull this off? I gotta congratulate them for doing something this good." A girl with dark purple hair emerged from behind Hiashi's leg at that precise moment. But Naruto was aware of her presence. "Sorry, Gigi, I'm not sure how they did this. I mean, to get by their Byakugan they'd have to be fast without being able to make a sound, or using chakra. Sure, I fit the bill, but I wouldn't have had the time, or even gotten away from the Anbu in time to do all that. I mean, I'm not even back for an hour, and someone pulls this off. Either someone wants to start a prank war, or they're trying to get me to notice them. Could be someone trying to get me killed. You never know. Although, if I could take a look at what happened, I could try to find the source. Maybe recreate it, and trace it back." Heishi questioned, "You would allow him to do that?" Sarutobi remarked, "Naruto, what you say is not exactly thrilling, nor is it inviting. I'm just saying. I know the best spots for pranking, and the best time to do so. Thing is, this would not be the best time to hit the Hyuga estate." He glanced at the clock. "I would have waited maybe 2 hours from now before I hit it." 2 hours. Thought Heishi. That's when they switch guard positions. As Naruto put it, my point exactly. I wasn't here for the last one, so I couldn't have gotten seals in there to activate it, and they would seem to be on high alert now, so they'll likely switch to one of the other rotation shifts. I counted 3 total, but there could be more. Heishi inquired, "How did you figure that much out?" "Oh, I'm always looking for good pranking spots and times. Now is not the one of those times for the Hyuga estate, which I assume is what was hit," replied Naruto. "I've got the best times for the Uchiha clan, Hyuga clan, Inazuka clan, Aburame. I stay away from the Akamichi clan, but I know how to get them if need be. Yamanaka clan. I could even get some of the civilian councilors' personal houses. Especially the Haruno. They have the worst security. The only one I think is on the council that I can't get would be an elder. That other old guy that comes in here from time to time, and you never seem to get along with, Gigi." "Danzo," pondered Sarutobi. "Yeah, that guy," declared Naruto. "He's the only one I haven't figured out where the hell he goes, but if you ask me, he's hiding something." Naruto nodded in response to the query. "You said you can get into the Uchiha estate without being detected, right?" Well, I believe you may be able to help us out with a little problem that has come to my attention. I may just get you paid for this. Naruto inquired, what kind of services we talking about? Sarutobi turned to Hishi and said, we'll talk about it later. I think we need to figure out who managed to paint the entire Hyuga estate in seconds first. I may not be able to find the guy for a week, but I should be able to find a way to get rid of the paint. Naruto replied. That would be easier, and then it might make it easier for me to find them. Naruto took a moment to examine the paint on Hishi. I doubt soap would work here. More research for a few seconds. No way. Said Naruto. Whoever did this did something that not even I've done. This paint seems to be taken off with alcohol. Small concentration, but other than that, any type should do the trick. If it doesn't come off with just application, you might have to scrub it. I can't say for sure, but the chemical compounds used would suggest application only. Naruto briefly blinked. Damn, those monkeys are good. Hishi questioned, what are you talking about? Sarutobi questioned, how did you learn something of that level? I was only with the lava monkeys for 3 months. They helped in that kind of stuff. I didn't think I picked it up so quickly, or that specific, to say something that I would have had a clue what I just said beforehand. Now I pulled on that, at the drop of a hat. What does that tell you? After blinking a few times, Sarutobi and Hishi thought the same thing. Those lava monkeys are awesome. However, Sarutobi had more on his mind. They appear to have outclassed Enma in terms of instruction. Naruto was also pondering. How on earth did I recall all of that? Yes, I was listening, but I didn't anticipate being able to use that knowledge with such ease. Goku informed him, it was the way they put it. I mean, before that, I wouldn't have understood half of what you said. Yet, I got the entire thing. By the way, this is what you did to them. That's it. Additionally, you must scrub it with at least 30% alcohol. So you not only turned them into walking eyesores, but also are going to have them smell like alcohol for a few days? Yeah, pretty much, Naruto said in his mind. You like? That's an understatement. How did you get in there, though? I actually sent 5 shadow clones in there, completely concealing their presence, masking the chakra with ki, placing the seals in 31 different locations, and setting them all to explode. They didn't ever catch me. Naruto, Sarutobi asked, interrupting him mid-sentence. Why did you space out? Naruto answered, mental conversation. Sorry, about what? How the prankster would have gotten in there. Remember, Kitsune are natural pranksters, so the Kyuubi would have some ideas on how, especially with my knowledge on how they work. Hishi remained in the space. I'm basically at a loss at who it is, at the moment. But if they strike again, I can't say much else can't happen. I mean, I'll admit I was planning on doing something to them, but at least I was planning to wait for a few days before I did. Now it seems like I'll have to settle for something else. Maybe I can top whoever managed to do this. You know, send a message saying that I would accept their challenge, whoever they are. Lord Hokage, someone just managed to hit the Aburame compound, knocking all there out, and Anbu said. Naruto said, okay, what the hell? What? That one had nothing at all to do with me. What do you mean? They're not planned until the following month. Wait, you have a schedule for pranks? Yes, don't you? No response was found. Okay, whoever is doing this is obviously sending a message. Naruto replied. Wait, is it knockout gas, or multi-purpose gas? Multi-purpose gas, inquired Sarutobi. It's gas that has a different effect for different species of any given animal. For example, for a bee, it could knock them out, but for a dog, it could poison them, and for a human, it would not affect them. The effects are too varied to call it anything else. Naruto clarified. Come to think of it, the rarer ones are acting like love. Sick puppies, the man replied. Naruto spoke, multi-purpose gas. There's not much you can do there, but evacuate everything you can, and hope that they survive. There's no telling what it would do, and each batch has different effects on any given species, so it would be hard to track down. That is, if you didn't know what is needed to make it, or if you knew of the only 2 people in a 10-mile radius of the village that knows how to make it and sells it in small doses. Me, I make it, so I don't have much. In fact, I haven't planned on using it for a while. If they make it themselves, then it will be pretty hard, but I'm sure the 2 sellers could tell me. They're the only ones, aside from myself, that know how to make it to my knowledge. I'll see if they know anything, and try to track them down. I'd be willing to bet that whoever did that is either one of them, or they know who it is. Sarutobi gave him a look. Where are these 2? I'm not at liberty to say. He has all his customers to swear secrecy on their locations, and they tend to move every 2 weeks. They're the best at what they do, and I'm not really comfortable doing this with Anbu tailing me. I tend to ditch them when I have to see them. Naruto said. Trust me when I say, it's not easy. This is best I go solo. No Anbu tails, or I'll knock them out. Maybe kill them. That's the reason I stress the term solo. Alright, if you manage to catch this person, whoever they are, you can get paid for it, as this could possibly be a threat if they go too far. At least warn them, when you do. Sarutobi said. Naruto gave a nod. Remember. No tails. Period. If find one, I'll knock them out, or if they were making attempts to hide themselves, I'll kill them, if their true strength is above Chunin level. Meaning Anbu is included. Naruto became dazed. Heishi gazed at the location where he vanished. How the hell is he so fast? Sarutobi said, training that apparently exceeds Guy's. Northeast Woods Naruto was by himself and hadn't yet noticed anyone pursuing him. If my timing is correct, I believe one of them would be in this area. A man emerged from the darkness. So, Naruto, where you been? Training. The man gave a nod. What you looking for? Naruto said, information. Someone else got their hands on multipurpose gas. There are only 2, aside from myself, that know how to make it. You're one of them. You have a swear secrecy for your locations. You don't swear secrecy to your clients. I'm looking for the one who has that kind of information. A girl in pink hair came by a week ago. Said she wanted to do something that would outrank your best prank. I simply told her that the multipurpose gas could help. I simply told her I had some, but she said she'd rather make it herself. I told her the same thing I tell my other clients. Never give out my location, and you're good in my book. Any defining traits? Green eyes. Similar to an emerald. Forehead is huge. Aside from that, nothing else that would define her personally. Naruto gave a nod. No name? You know I don't ask for names. Naruto paused and said, true. I think I could use some of your old sake paint. That could help out in getting her back. You want to find her? Why not? Inquired Naruto. She's one of the few that tried pulling off a prank, almost as elaborate as one of mine. It could have been timed a little better, but not by much, since the Hyuga estate got hit by one of my latest pranks. That's why I love my new paint seals. The man said, you got the money for it? Naruto reached into his pocket and took it out. They traded things, saying, this should be enough for how much I'll need. Pleasure doing business with you. Same here. With a nod, the man disappeared into the darkness. As he sealed the paint into a seal on a scroll, Naruto thought, I've got to figure out how to do that myself. Naruto checked the area once more before fading out. Then Naruto was standing atop the Hokage monument, gazing down at the village. He was doing this because he had discovered on his journey that he could channel ki to his eyes and see for miles. Well, the village doesn't have many people with pink hair. Actually, the Haruno clan is the only one I am aware of. Before leaping from the monument in that direction, Naruto thought, I'll start in that area and look around. Naruto stayed out of sight entirely. He learned that skill from Goku. He stood directly outside the Haruno residence. Councilwoman Haruno's one. He looked into the windows and saw a young girl with pink hair sitting at a desk with ingredients he was very familiar with. If there's any place to start, it's here. It appears that I located her. It's also the daughter of Councilwoman Haruno. Who would have guessed her level of disobedience? You never know who's who, Naru. As true as that is, I didn't anticipate this. Let's check. Work on her next batch is underway. Her intended victim. Clan Inuzuka. Oh no, that must be a good one, Naruto thought further. She turned to the window as soon as she realized she was being watched. She winked as she noticed a shadow staring at her. She hurried to open the window. She gestured for him to enter. Naruto gave a headshake. Rather, he drew a sheet of paper in her direction. She read it and caught it rather easily. Naruto nodded as she gave him a look. Then he was gone. She read it again after shutting the window. I am aware that you pulled the prank at the Aburame estate and that you intend to target the Inuzuka clan next. I would advise you to avoid doing this again if you want my advice. The Hokage is now aware that not many people are capable of producing the multipurpose gas, and the Anbu considers it to be at best subpar. Myself as well. I would stop using it. It was opportune because most of the village was concerned about the Hyuga clan's fate. Don't tell anyone, but I did do that one, yes. In 3 days at noon, meet me behind the Hokage monument to learn more about what you're up against, should you wish to start a prank war. Be at that location in 4 days if that is not your goal and you want my attention. At the same moment. Otherwise, don't bother showing up and don't try to pull another practical joke on someone to see how they react. The master of the prank king 4 days later. Naruto was reading a sealing book while perched in a tree. It was almost noon when a girl approached him. As soon as she walked in, he shut the book and observed her. Neither he nor she had a tail. She turned to face Naruto when he said, 4 days, just before noon. He was still sitting on the branch. Looks like you wanted my attention. She exclaimed, wow, it's really you. She wore a miniature Sakura outfit. You said you wanted to see me? Naruto leapt down to stand in front of her and remarked, it's about your prank. Aside from the timing, in regards to my prank, you couldn't be better. If you timed it like I would have, it would be about 30 minutes later, if not for the Hyuga clan. You saw an opportunity, and you took it. Well, I wasn't trying to outdo you. That would be impossible. Naruto remarked, impossible is just a word, my friend. What's your name? I know you're Councilwoman Haruno's daughter. She blushed slightly and said, Sakura. Why? Well, Sakura. I'd suggest you lay off the pranking for a while. Are you planning on going to the Ninja Academy? Well, no. Well, you'd do highly well in academics, not to mention trap making. A prankster's best friend happens to be his traps. When you add in stealth, speed and precision, you've got yourself one of the best pranksters you can be. You need the smarts, which you have, the stealth, which you could work on, speed, not completely sure about, and precision, which you seem to have down. Becoming a kunoichi is one way to gain what you're missing. Naruto said. Just don't get sucked into the crowd, and follow your own path. Should you choose this route, it won't do you much good. Sakura gave a nod. I'm going for the next one, and if you wish to join, convince your mother to let you join. Sakura inquired, how did you find me? He has a swear secrecy on his location. He never swears secrecy on his clients' identities. Never has. You found out about him, and he had a connection to me. You used that connection. I did the reverse, and got him to tell me of you. He may not have given a name, but the hair and eyes narrow it down to a select few. Throw in the forehead, and I found you quickly. Naruto clarified. Another thing you may need is a kunoichi. Information gathering. It could help one day. She answered, thanks for the advice, and I'll consider it. No pranks though. By the way, I was planning on hitting the Aburame clan next month. Now I have to change the entire pranking schedule. When you get to the academy, should you choose that route, he said as he left. He phased out and jumped, saying, after you fully understand the academy layout, play a few pranks. Sakura had a single thought as she watched him. He's awesome. She left the area by foot. The office of the Hokage. Directly in front of Sarutobi, Naruto phased into the office. Found out who it is, and her reasons behind her actions. 4 days? Inquired Sarutobi. Couldn't you have done so faster? Actually, I found her 4 days ago, and used timing to figure out her motivation. Had she not shown up today, you wouldn't have to deal with her anymore. If she did yesterday, she would have been pranked 17 times before she knew what hit her, and then another 4 to 8 times, depending on her reaction, since she'd be too caught up in it to get out of it, said Naruto. Then who was it? Inquired Sarutobi. Her name is Sakura Haruno. Councilwoman Haruno's daughter. I still ensured she wouldn't go for any pranks unless she went for the Ninja Academy like I am, but even if she takes that route, she knows not to do anything until she knows the academy grounds down to the nail. Naruto informed him. I noticed that she got in and got out before anyone could notice, so becoming a kunoichi, assuming she doesn't slack off, is her best bet. She's got the makings of a trap master, but her skills are severely underdeveloped. Pranking can help in that regard. At that, Sarutobi went pale. You mean, if I teach her about pranking and, in turn, trap making, you'd have 2 of the best in the elemental countries. Naruto grinned. You've already got one. You might get another one by the time we graduate. Sarutobi said, well then, and tossed a bag of cash. That is the equivalent of a C-rank mission, since you are a civilian, but did us a good service. This next one, no one can know you're doing, and as such will be reported as a classified mission. Something I figure that you would like very much, and would make excellent use of your information on your objective. In response, Naruto said, I'm listening. 3 weeks have passed since Naruto was asked to complete a covert mission, and nobody has discovered it yet. He had just completed his daily workout, which consisted of 1,000 squats, 1,000 push-ups, 500 sit-ups, 200 lunges per leg, and 200 laps around the village. He created a shadow clone and used it to carry out the mission he had been given while keeping himself totally hidden from sensors, sight, and smell. Then he created 2 more shadow clones. but this time he had Kyuubi and Goku beside him, both dressed as themselves. "So, you're really going to go through with calling us your guardians?" asked Goku. "Yeah, I am. Only Yugo knows otherwise, as she's the only one that's seen you both. Thing is, I can't really call Kyuubi by her title," Naruto acknowledged. Kyuubi questioned, "Then why not my real name?" Naruto answered, "Because you never told me." "Oh, I didn't?" Goku said, "No, you told me, but not him. Akane Yoko is her name. People will only hear us call her Akane, and her hearing is good enough to hear us from the opposite side of the village." They all nodded, and Naruto repeated it several times in his mind. "Akane. I just call you Mom, anyway. However, you may want to get used to being called Akane-san." They all nodded and looked thoughtfully. They all left in the direction of the academy. Away from the academy, Naruto, Goku, and Akane, Kyuubi, approached the academy. He ran up to Sakura as soon as he saw her. As soon as he arrived, Goku and Akane joined him. "Hey, Sakura, what's up?" With her mother directly in front of her, Sakura said, "Oh, hey Naruto. You shouldn't talk to that thing. He's the one that said I'd make a good trap maker, especially after the one prank I did pull off and no one found out who did it," Sakura stated to her mother. He turned back to Naruto and said, "He's the reason I wanted to come along. By the way, I've got another one in the making. Want to take a look at it?" Sakura produced a scroll and showed it to Naruto, who said, "Sure." He examined it. "Nice additions. Could use a little work, but overall, pretty good for someone that's still pretty new and doesn't have much experience with it. They're placed highly strategically, now that I look at it. Why bother complimenting my daughter, demon? If you really think I'm a demon, you know nothing of sealing. I took the liberty of learning as much as I could, in case my seal weakens, so I can strengthen it if needed," Naruto stated to her. "There's no reason for you to fear for that particular reason. What you should fear is the ignorance that you simply use. I'm sorry, but it's true. I have no demonic blood in me. In my blood lies that of a long-thought dead clan. One that was supposed to have been eradicated during the last war. So technically I'm the last of my clan. You're lying through your teeth. If you ask the Hyuga, Uchiha, or even the Inuzuka clans, they will be able to tell you of Whirlpool Country, its destruction during the last war, and one refugee that made it here with the help of our Yondaime Hokage. If that never happened, I would never have been born. I cannot tell you either of my true parents' names for two reasons. 1. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, and 2. The fame and subsequent enemies of my father will be placed on me. Therefore, it's considered an S-class secret, so I can't say any more than that. I go by my mother's surname, for that same reason. Everyone thinks that any and all Uzumaki are dead. In a sense, they are, but I'm the only one known to be alive." He was looking at the trap plans at the time. "Sakura, if I could make a suggestion here, I'd move a few of the wedges here and here. Putting them here and here, would be better and make it a lot more dangerous." Sakura gazed at it and visualized the transformation. "Now that I think about it, that would make a huge difference. One piece can make a big difference. 3 pieces? That can be the difference between life and death. Better to go with life than death," Naruto said to her, and she nodded. Sakura rolled up the scroll and said, "Thanks for the advice." Naruto gave a nod. It helps when you're able to prank an entire village, and no one seems to be the wiser. "I knew you were up to no good." Naruto only made her rage worse by saying, "Actually, I blame the ignorance of the civilian council for that one. They don't know the difference between a jar and the mayo. Ask any shinobi clan what I mean by that, as I don't think it wise to say anything in front of your daughter, due to risks." She took notice of that. "What risks?" inquired Sakura. "If she says anything on that particular matter, she'd either be locked up for life or executed. Those are the risks of revealing an S-class secret," Naruto stated to her. "I can't tell anyone, either, even though it has to do with me." Goku placed a hand on his shoulder as he and Akane approached him. He turned to face the councilwoman and said, "Naru, you really should get to class. I believe you should let your daughter go to class as well. If they get into the same class, that would be the fault of the teachers, not ours." "And who might you be?" She was informed by Akane, his guardians, "and if you hurt him, you'll have to answer to us. We will not be deterred by Anbu, either, so don't bother with that." Naruto yelled, "See you after school," as he ran, Sakura following closely behind. They both arrived at the class on time, but he was moving more slowly than he could. Same class, apparently. Sakura said, "That's good for us. Well, no use waiting out here." "Wait. You said your parents are dead, and I don't think those are your real guardians." On paper, they're not. Naruto acknowledged. However, they've both been with me all my life. They earned the title of guardian. I just didn't know about them all the time. Then you're using them and calling them your guardians, replied Sakura. Using them? If it were their idea in the first place, is it considered using them? With a smile, Sakura said, no, I suppose not. Okay, I'm good. Let's go in. When they entered, they noticed that the teacher's hair was fashioned like a pineapple. They located 2 seats and took a seat next to one another. After that, Iruka talked his ass off, and Naruto heard nearly everything he said. My name is Iruka Amino, but you will call me Iruka Sensei. In contrast to what the lava monkeys taught him, he discovered that everything they taught was at a very low level. Following the classes, Sakura and Naruto encountered the clan heirs. It was Ino Yamanaka who approached him. She exclaimed joyfully, hey there. I'm Ino. Naruto blinked in surprise as he said, hello Ino. You're the daughter of Inoichi Yamanaka, right? Ino said, yeah, how'd you guess? Like Goku, Naruto smiled and said, trade secret. Ino said, so, would you like to go out with me? Naruto replied, no, I've got other things to do. Besides, since you're a clan heir, you should be training, and not focusing on boys. I believe Sasuke would say the same thing, if he weren't such a prick. Note to self. Within a month, pull a practical joke on Sasuke Uchiha. Note taken. Thank you, Akane. Naruto found Shikamaru and Choji as he turned and left. Perched atop a hill, they gazed up at the sky. Although he concealed his power, Naruto became Super Saiyan. He was able to extract it without using Fox features. He saw that it only happened when he was really angry. He approached them. Mind if I join you? Pineapple Head said, sure, why not? Inquired Choji. Naruto simply closed his eyes and lay down. Shikamaru became intrigued when Choji asked, so you're Naruto Uzumaki? And got no response. Rising, he turned to face the blonde. What is wrong with him? Naruto simply lay motionless. A smile came to Choji's face. The next thing that happened made Goku laugh. As if it were a form of exercise, he picked up a rock and threw it at Naruto. Naruto held his forehead and sat up. He scowled at Choji and asked, is this some kind of joke? Choji answered, thought it was some kind of exercise. Shikamaru was deep in contemplation. He appeared to be sleeping, but he was radiating power. What does he do with that? You're Naruto, right? Responded Shikamaru. Naruto responded, drawing a sigh, and you're Shikaku Nara's son. How did you manage to keep that much power contained while trying to sleep? Asked Shikamaru. That should, by all accounts, impossible. For an Uzumaki, impossible is only a word. That's all it's ever truly been. And I can do so, because I've got practice. I can hold that much power for a month straight, sleeping included. In fact, that's exactly what I managed to pull off. It reached an entire month just yesterday. I toned it down last night, and got a lot more rest. Basically, I'm used to it. Naruto replied by getting up. Shikamaru whispered something to himself. Without taking his eyes off the sky, Naruto remarked, you know, most would take offense to that. Still, I've been called worse. Both of them looked at him, bewildered. For a while, they all looked back up at the sky and said, don't ask, because I'm not at liberty to say. Sakura approached them and took a seat beside Naruto. He questioned, trying to relax, Sakura? Sakura answered, actually, I figured I should follow your footsteps. You got powerful already. You're fast on your feet, and in your head. Aside from that, you're a trap-making genius, due to your pranks. I need to learn how you did that, so I at least have a basis to go by. Take it one step at a time, Sakura. Naruto advised. What I went through, no normal human can go through and still come out completely sane. Even as a 7-year-old, I've been through more despair than the Hokage himself. Yet I push on, unhindered. Can you do that? Sakura questioned, I'll never know, will I? In response, Naruto said, not likely. But the first is to train. There are no shortcuts, not by a long shot. You have to earn your stripes, not be given it completely. By the way, did you know I came up with my own jutsu? Choji, Sakura, and Shikamaru gazed at him. Yeah, I've been through the academy jutsu, and the transformation jutsu wouldn't have worked for me. Thankfully, I already know of a way to get by that little hurdle. Happened when I was trying to get perverts off my tail when I was 5. It kind of came to me, and they all passed out from nosebleeds. I still regret going through that book, as I was too young to read it, but it helped me out in a pinch. For that, I'm thankful. Choji questioned, what did you transform into? Naruto remarked, something that I don't think Sakura would like. Besides, if I showed you, it's possible you'd do the same as they did. Past experience says to never do that in front of a girl, or you will regret it. Sakura's face went white as she said, no, you didn't. Naruto informed her, and now you know why. I never should have gone through the book in the first place, but finding out that there were too many perverts around, I used it to my advantage. In my life, it's usually do or die. That is, until almost 20 months ago. Then it's avoid the ones that are after me, and prank them later. If no one does, I go by a schedule. By the way, Shikamaru, I'd stay out of your clan compound for another 5 hours. He questioned, do I even want to know? Naruto said, probably not, and went back to sleep. Until something threw his senses into overdrive. He leapt to his feet, shut his eyes once more, and sensed the presence. Root. They have pursued me before, but this is the first time they have come this close. Naruto was approached by a man wearing an Anbu mask. Naruto Uzumaki. The mark, which was not on a typical Anbu, was visible when he opened his eyes. What does the old man want? The man said, he wants to talk to you. Tell him I'm not interested in becoming his personal weapon. And if you attack, you risk going rogue, since I'm a civilian right now. Until I get my headband, you can't hurt me by law. Only a civilian can, and they can't touch me. Everyone's eyes were on him. As Shikamaru put it, Naruto, why are you defying the Hokage? Without taking his eyes off the mask, Naruto told him, given that this guy doesn't follow orders from the Hokage, I'm not disobeying Gigi. No, the old man I was referring to is the one who has this guy as his lapdog. You see that symbol on the mask? That symbol is not on any of the Hokage's personal Anbu. I should know, since they always come to get me when he wants to see me. Besides, if it were Gigi wanting to see me, then it would be one of 3 Anbu in particular. This one is not one of those 3, and one of them is still in the village. The Anbu gave him a look. If you disobey. Naruto interrupted him, saying, can it, emotionless drone. If you don't leave now, I'll be forced to kill you, and I have complete permission from the Hokage himself to do so to any root members that come for me. I'm giving you a chance to leave and tell Danzo that any attempt he makes at capturing me will be useless. It's either that, or die where you stand. Your choice. The Anbu took a position. You will come with me to Lord Danzo. Naruto let out a sigh. He phased out, making the man double over Naruto's fist in his stomach. Wrong choice. Learn to listen, and make a smart choice. That's what I would say, if you actually survived that blow. The others gazed in wonder at him. Sakura was the first to shake it off. How did you do that? Train till I dropped day after day for a year and a half. The last 3 weeks of which was in a room that extended time. I got 21 months there alone, due to the extended time. It's been a month since I came out, meaning I can't go back in until 41 months from now. Naruto took a breath. It also helps that I've got seals restricting my entire body, every step of the way, at least the moment I got far enough in the art. I was still 5, at that point. They were all stunned as they stood there. He looked at the body and said, can't have anyone tracing this back to me, so you can't tell anyone what I'm about to do, though it is protocol of the hunter ninja within Anbu. He went through some hand seals and said, Kaden. Grand Fireball Jutsu. Yes, the seals are still active. If I unleashed all I had, the village could be leveled by the force of it alone. I wouldn't have to do anything but call on it. That's the result of my training. That should do it. Naruto turned to the others and said, I have permission from the Hokage himself to do this should the need arise, but only on root agents. The body burned, and Naruto performed more hand signs. Doden. Deep Rock Prison. The ground opened up around the burning body, and it fell in. 3 seconds later, the hole closed, sealing it off for good. Since he was one of them, only the Hokage and Root will be aware of the body as long as there is no other evidence. No regular Anbu, no civilians. Just Root. What makes them desire you? Root's leader is a warhawk. He thinks that fighting can solve any problem. That is untrue. Since he became Hokage, he has engaged in combat with the Sandaime. Because of my strength, he now wants me as his personal weapon. Naruto told Choji, he doesn't understand it because he doesn't have any real control over it. If it weren't for that, he wouldn't bother. Unless my parents were known to him. Despite their deaths, many people feared both of them. I use my mother's last name since most people have forgotten her. My dad. He is difficult to forget, not with his actions. What did he do? Sakura inquired. I'm afraid you'll have to figure out the answer yourself, Naruto said, shaking his head. Primarily because you would figure it out too fast if I told you anything about him, such as his record for the most kills with a single jutsu. Sakura's and Shikamaru's eyes grew wide. You can't tell anyone now that you know. Not even your own parents. Sakura nodded, but Shikamaru remained motionless. It's no surprise that he's so strong. He's probably smarter than everyone else, too. But even his skills are supposed to be impossible at twice his age. His eyes narrowed. But that means he's already achieved the impossible. His expression relaxed. I may not know everything, but that kind of information, I can see why it couldn't get out. Someone would try to capture him, study his body. Maybe find a way to recreate his jutsu. Killing may be wrong, but as a ninja, you may be forced to make a decision you don't want to make, Naruto said, turning back to peacefully lying down. It is better to choose the long-term option that is safer than the short. Term 1. The Hokage must act in the best interests of the village. I must learn this early on if I want to become Hokage myself. He closed his eyes in an attempt to focus. I understand that making your first kill is difficult, but you'll get used to it eventually, Kit. You have endured more suffering than the vast majority of ninja who fought in the previous conflict and are still alive. Thanks, I suppose. How will that be helpful? It indicates that you are more powerful than they are. Mentally and emotionally, if not physically. You can therefore accept the guilt of killing. I mean, I know I just killed someone, but I feel at peace, so why don't I feel guilty? Asked Naruto. Goku informed him, it's because of what he was going to do. If you let him continue, he would simply return, stronger and more determined than before. You offered him an option. He made his own decision. You know this in your heart. You don't feel bad about his passing because of this and many other reasons. Another is that you believe someone else's life was essential. Someone you do care about. I don't feel guilty because he made his own decision and I thought it was the right thing to do. I do agree with you there, you know. Both of those arguments could be used. I'll have to tell Gigi about this. He'll need to know what happened, Naruto said, nodding conceptually. Sorry guys, I think I'll have to tell Gigi about what happened here, Naruto said, turning to the others after they had both agreed. I'll be alright, so don't worry about me. Where can we meet for training? Sakura asked, nodding. At 0500, be at the training grounds 7 days in 3 days. I'll probably be there early because I train early in the morning, so don't be late, Naruto said. Weights or not, you won't be able to handle what I do. Naruto lost his temper after this. How difficult is this training? Sakura asked herself. The office of the Hokage Naruto phased in as Sarutobi was about to take out a book after finishing his paperwork. Gigi, we seem to have a bit of a problem. Is it about that thing I asked you about? Sighed Sarutobi inwardly. Naruto gave a headshake. Naruto said, he finally made his first move. Sarutobi took the message to heart and swore to himself. What took place? Is he? Naruto continued by explaining what had happened, saying, yes, he is. I felt strange. Although I didn't enjoy killing him, I also didn't feel guilty or regret it. Goku explains that it's because I gave him a choice, and he made it on his own. I also felt that he would return later and threaten someone I cared about. In fact, the Kyuubi concurs with him there. I'm not entirely certain myself. They're both correct, Sarutobi said with an audible sigh. You took the action you believed was necessary to stop additional threats or casualties. Additionally, you got rid of the body in a special manner, if they do discover it. Naruto remarked, they won't. I used an earth and fire jutsu. They combine to form lava. If they are still burning, as he was, the combined earth and fire chakra still flowing through the jutsu will melt them while he is down there. In essence, anything that is discovered must be both lava-proof and fireproof. When I discovered that on a reinforced shadow clone, it informed me that lava had burned it before it dispelled it. That's how I know. Alright then, about the matter a few weeks ago. No one is aware of it yet. Apparently, you were correct. They intend to relocate no later than 3 months from now. It appears that some of them are opposed to it, but the head is carrying it out, Naruto stated, adding, at least 2 months. Her eldest son and the matriarch. Despite being aware of it, they both oppose it. It appears that none of the civilians among them are aware of it. That information is helpful. Keep doing what you're doing. I have not gotten the information today, so I'm not completely sure, but this is as of last night, 2,200 hours. Naruto stated to him. You're doing us a great service, Naruto, said Sarutobi, nodding. I disagree with what they're doing. Before passing out, Naruto remarked, I'm all for helping you out here. 3 minutes had passed when someone knocked on the door and said, enter. A man with a cast on his arm and a cane came into the room and said, I have troubling news about a certain clan. Sarutobi said, If this is about the Uchiha clan, then I am already in the know. I have a small time frame, and I have someone watching them. Negotiations are impossible given the current state of affairs. Oh, and what influenced you to make this decision? The man asked, raising an eyebrow. We have no choice but to get rid of the insurgents because my informant told me how things are going and the head is refusing to budge, despite his wife's strong opposition. In order to either catch them in the act or stop them from doing anything, my informant will continue to provide information, permanently. Are you certain of this? No man has been able to stand up to Uchiha, much less a whole clan, the elderly man inquired. I beg to differ, given that he has been evasive for the past few weeks. Even though he is aware of the reality, nobody else should be aware of it until we decide on a course of action. Although he is the most qualified candidate for this position, I might think about hiring one of the others who don't seem to agree with Fugaku's methods. He won't be able to identify the current insider if he has them as another insider. You won't either. The Hokage heard the man say, it seems you are gaining a backbone. I've had one all my life. When necessary, I act. That's all. Sarutobi hesitated. I also heard you pursued Naruto Uzumaki again. But you made an attempt to apprehend him this time. That is absurd. Oh, Sarutobi arched an eyebrow and said, he had just come to me saying he had to kill off a root Anbu, in front of 3 others, and disposed of the body with them present. Danzo went pale. That man is now dead in case they try anything because I gave him permission to kill them. Keep this in mind because if you don't, it might come back to haunt you. You will fail if you attempt to control him. That should not be possible, replied Danzo. My sources indicate he is not strong enough to do that. So, your sources are out of date. He is the only one who is aware of his progress. I don't even fully understand it. Before he left the room in contemplation, Sarutobi warned Danzo to be careful where he walked. That will thwart his plans. A week later, outside, in a training field, was Naruto's class. All right, everybody, we're going to teach you how to do taijutsu today. The instructor, who wasn't Iruka, described what taijutsu was, but Naruto ignored it. Sakura and Shikamaru saw that he was proficient in taijutsu and didn't require any further explanation. All right, let us start by teaching you one. On dot 1. Some Junin have also made the decision to attend. Naruto recognized one of the individuals who entered through Shunshin. Guy. Sensei, said male heard the voice and turned to him. Naruto? The academy instructor gave Guy a look. Do you know that child? Naturally, I gave him some instruction a few years ago. It's difficult to forget someone with his endurance, Guy said to the teacher. So maybe you'd like to see how he's done. Guy said, that I do. Naruto looked at Guy and said, Naruto Uzumaki, get up here. Are you still using the bowl cut? Did he ask? It is among my numerous trademarks, Guy grinned briefly. Stop the nonsense. Did you not want to see my own taijutsu style in its final form? Is it finished? With a nod, Guy said, so why don't you demonstrate your abilities for me? Not in this place. With a pair of taijutsu beasts like us, it would be a bad idea for us to fight where someone else can get caught in the crossfire, Naruto remarked, shaking his head, because there are too many bystanders. I see, Guy said, nodding. So why don't we make it softer for this? We could definitely compete at the Chunin level. Naruto glanced at the others and said, that I'm okay with. Give us some room. The Junin, the teacher, and the students retreated. Sensei, let's see if you can keep up with our fight. Naruto took up the Kame-style's opening stance, while Guy assumed his typical position. No one, not even the Junin, could keep up with those speeds, and there was a tense silence as the wind blew through the area. They both vanished as soon as the wind passed, leaving the teacher and the Junin in shock. Shikamaru pondered, what is he trying to do now if he was trying to kill that guy from root? Then, with another gust of wind, Naruto and Guy emerged into the air, landing in perfect stances after somersaulting. You've improved, Naruto. Naruto retorted, you, not so much. However, I had never sparred with you before because my taijutsu was incomplete. Heck, I hadn't even begun working on it when I last saw you. You really are a deserving practitioner of taijutsu. Second round? Guy asked. Naruto nodded, but switched his stance to the Vegeta's style. Ready? Start, Guy yelled, and they both vanished once more. Only one person was able to follow them, and even then, it was difficult. Sasuke Uchiha was that one. He was in the crowd, watching, and he saw that Naruto was keeping up with Guy, blow for blow, but even he couldn't see them fighting at that speed. All he could see was blurs moving around and striking each other, and they both appeared in the middle, their fists locked, with lightning erupting from the contact and a crater beneath them. Guy observed, "You have yet to truly open up." "No shit. If I did, half the place would probably be in ruins in addition to you being in a hole in the ground. So far, I have only gone for bits and pieces. I've seen both Vegeta and Goku." Before they parted ways and Naruto assumed Tien Shinhan's previous stance, he retorted, "Tien is next, and then one I doubt you know much about." The third round. Start. Before they vanished again, Naruto yelled. Now that he could see what was happening, Sasuke was unaware of it, but Naruto saw it coming. It appears that the taijutsu beasts of Konoha were able to awaken his bloodline, which will make him even more irritable. As before, they both split apart and landed in perfect stance. "Guy. Sensei, I think we should end this now. It's not one of the Junin," and someone's eyes adjusted. "Good to know you haven't been slacking since you left," Guy said, glancing at the crowd and noticing that Sasuke Uchiha had two tomo in one eye and one in the other, along with red eyes. He nodded to Naruto and said, "We'll continue this at a later date." "You think I'd actually do that?" "Well, that's it for our fun," Naruto said, turning to face the throng. "I need to speak with you, Sasuke Uchiha, before you start training." With a suspicious glance, Sasuke assumed Naruto was threatening to beat him to the ground. "This is to be done privately," he said. "No students, no Chunin, no Junin. Just him and me. Guy. Sensei." Guy said to him, "Consider it done, Naruto." Naruto nodded, positioned himself beside Sasuke, and they both passed out, with Naruto departing first. "All right. Do you have any questions now that you've seen what can be accomplished at the advanced levels of taijutsu?" Guy inquired. With Sasuke and Naruto, they found themselves in the middle of a forest. Naruto turned to face Sasuke. "All right, what did you actually see?" Naruto uttered those words. "Just blurs." Sasuke answered, "How did you get so fast, and how long could you last if you were slowing down? You were moving so fast, I couldn't keep up until you two went at it the third time, and even then I only saw blurs. In fact, my speed remained constant throughout the entire spar," Naruto retorted. "I wasn't slowing down at all. You made the change." Sasuke's expression was blank. "All right, tell me about your ancestry." "The Sharingan, but I haven't been able to use it yet." "Do you know that you can see objects that move more quickly than it can?" Sasuke's eyes widened as Naruto asked. "You mean?" "Yes. We halted because you roused it, which is also why I summoned you here," Naruto stated. "Don't tell your family that you woke it up. Don't even tell Itachi. Only Guy. Sensei and I know for sure, and even then, many of the others suspect that you triggered it. For as long as you can, keep it a secret. You can actually call yourself a shinobi if you do that." "Why should I hide it from my family?" "Because I've been hearing weird rumors regarding them. I don't want them to incite hatred and corrupt people anymore." "In that sense, you remain pure." Naruto instructed him to keep it that way. "What makes them act in that way?" "You're just jealous that we have a dojutsu," Sasuke said. "Train yourself without it," Naruto told him, adding, "I could care less about that. That will help you advance more effectively. It won't be quicker, but the outcomes will be superior. Unless fully mature, the Sharingan would struggle to keep up at speeds like that. If I open up completely, it will still have a lot of issues even at that level. I've been limiting myself all along. To put it plainly, I positioned myself at his level and was still able to see everything that was happening." "How?" Sasuke inquired. "Because I taught myself to fight at speeds that are significantly faster than those of the typical human. I need those speeds, but can I hit my target if I can't see him dodge?" "No, I can't," he said after pausing for a moment. "Not unless I trained both my body and my eyes. I'm used to fast speeds by nature. The opposite is also true. What happens if you can see something with your eyes but your body is unable to respond in time?" "In the ditch?" Sasuke speculated. "You can't hit your opponent if you can't see him dodge, and he can take you out," Naruto said, nodding. "All I'm saying is, don't rely on the power of your bloodline," he sighed. "If you can see an attack coming but are unable to block or move out of the way, then you're in trouble. Despite what everyone says, there are ways to get around everything, so it's not all that strong. One who strives for what he has is a true genius. Not someone who uses it as a crutch and is born with it." Sasuke deadpanned, "I understand." He was eager to show his family. "Stay positive. I don't know if you're proficient in Grand Fireball Jutsu, but if you are, I could teach you some fire jutsu since I know a lot of them." This made Sasuke smile. "You would teach me? I wouldn't mind helping you, counsel or not, if your parents don't survive what I believe would happen if the rumors are accurate. Your parents don't want me to be around you. Even though your mother would be dubious about that. Naruto adopted a contemplative expression. Why wouldn't they want me near you? At least 90% of the village despises me for reasons that are out of my control, Naruto sighed. It was something that had occurred to me on the day of my birth, but I didn't discover it until perhaps 2 years ago. I can't go into the specifics because it's illegal and I would be killed if I said anything about it. The same goes for you, but that's why I can't. Inquire with your father about the consequences of disclosing an S-class secret without authorization. You will understand what I mean. You might also ask your brother. What made you aware that I have a brother? I never told anyone, said Sasuke. It's not a huge secret, really. Everyone is aware of Itachi. But I'm the one who gets around the most. I am aware that he is in the Anbu and your older brother. In fact, I've had a few encounters with him. I have met him, though not frequently, Naruto answered. Oh, alright. Sasuke informed him, I'll work on training without the Sharingan, and nobody else will know. I need your opinion on this. You didn't awaken it, in case anyone inquires, regardless of the situation. Sasuke said, you have my word as a Uchiha. Sasuke nodded, and they headed out to join the others. Good. Naruto grinned slightly. Now let's get back to the others. Uchiha Estate. After 5 hours Sasuke was awake because he was considering what Naruto had told him, and he heard snippets of the argument between Fugaku and his wife, Mikoto. I'm not interested. What we deserve has been denied to us. They're deserving of burning, Fugaku shouted. You don't have to accept things by force just because they aren't how you want them to be, Mikoto retorted with a shout. He was interrupted, saying, they think we're trying to kill them all off. And you're acting just as they believe you to be. I don't want to be involved. Fugaku gave Mikoto a fierce look and said, if you tell anyone about the coup d'etat, you will cease to exist. When Sasuke heard it, he gasped inwardly, tried to fall asleep, and decided to discuss it with Naruto because he thought he might have heard something about it. The following day during lunch, Sasuke drew Naruto away from the classroom so they could speak alone. You mentioned yesterday, Naruto, that you travel around a lot and hear even more. Are there any reports that the Hokage is opposed by the Uchiha clan? Naruto responded, there are a lot of them, though, I have seen most disproven. How about just now? Something significant. How large? He was told by Sasuke, rebellion big. He already figured it out, didn't he? My only guess is that he overheard his parents, or someone else, arguing about it. It wasn't Itachi, I know that for sure. My clone dispelled before this happened, so I can't say for sure. Naruto pondered for a moment, but not about what Sasuke believed it to be. Naruto stated, yeah, I did hear about something that big. However, he was unable to verify or refute the information. It was that the clan of Uchiha was preparing a rebellion or something. I have no idea as to why. So, it has already been distributed, isn't it? Anyone else knows? Sasuke thought. Naruto acknowledged, no one, actually. I got this kind of information from animals. More especially, the local foxes. They are surprisingly good at gathering information. After years of training with them, I can even comprehend them as well as an Inuzuka can their partner. That's one of the reasons I'm aware of the majority of the village's positive and even harmful rumors. Few people take the time to observe the animals. I can also learn about some of the most important news before most people do. So, you still haven't mentioned it to the Hokage? Naruto answered, no, I haven't. I've told him a few things, but not everything. Itachi has been keeping up with the rest. When will they do this, do you know? I don't right now, Naruto said, shaking his head in response to Sasuke's question. I would need to ask around. I would have a response by tomorrow. Because of the accident 7 years ago, the village despises foxes. All of which is true, as I don't have an exact date, I said, acknowledging that they are really cool and helpful when it comes to pulling practical jokes. When you do, could you tell me? I'd want to stay as far away as possible if they have to be killed because of it, Sasuke inquired. Naruto replied, sure thing. I'll see what I can tonight and let you know when it's available. Try to sleep at night for the time being, and don't give it too much thought. At least in my opinion, it doesn't involve you right now. After Sasuke gave a nod, they both descended to the lunch area. After 4 days, Eastern Forests a fox approached Naruto while he was meditating and told him what was happening. Thanks for the information, Naruto said. Gigi won't like this, the fox said, nodding. Naruto destroyed the clone he was hiding, created a new one, and faded away. The clone then approached Sasuke. The office of the Hokage Sarutobi was behind Naruto's desk when he showed up for a meeting with Itachi, the elders, and Danzo. Brat, what are you doing here? The female elder inquired. I've got some information that the Hokage would like to know, replied Naruto. What were you able to discover? Please let it be good news, Sarutobi said. I know the coup d'etat's precise date. The decision was recently made by the Uchiha clan. Itachi was taken aback as well. I haven't even discovered that. Why have you? Naruto acknowledged. I just got the memo. We have 3 days, at dusk. Additionally, I have a comprehensive list of people who will participate and those who are adamantly opposed to it. I assume you have a strategy? Sarutobi inquired. When even Itachi doesn't have those exact lists, do you really think this kid will? Hiruzen. Homura inquired. Considering the fact I've been spying on them for the past month and a half, and Itachi only started a month ago, I've got more information on it than he does. What did you do to get past the guards? Itachi inquired. Even though they possess the Sharingan, they fail to see the obvious reality. They have the mentality that something does not exist if it is invisible to the naked eye. They are overly dependent on their bloodline and have allowed it to control them. Yes, I do have a plan, he said, turning to Sarutobi, so I hid myself so that their eyes cannot see me and have become a true shadow. This is the list of everyone willing to participate. Naruto took out a scroll and opened it, pointing to one sheet. This lists those that are, but are not happy with the decision. He pointed to another sheet, where the list was longer. Finally, he said, this is the list of those that have either openly disapproved, or are not going to participate. This one is roughly as long as the disgruntled participants, as you can see. But the majority of this one is civilian. This list also includes Itachi. He would have come to the same conclusions, according to Itachi, who approached them and said, aside from 2 of them, I would place everyone exactly where he did. You mean him and her if you say, 2. Naruto pointed to 2 names in particular, saying, it took me a few days to figure out where they stand because they were so good at hiding it. Those 2 were the most difficult to locate out of all of them. Although I could hear them curse out Fugaku in private, they would appear to actively support it. They fall into the unhappy but participating category as a result, Naruto clarified. Furthermore, what have you done with this knowledge? Danzo inquired. It's just analysis for now, but I have some ideas about what we can do. He waited for a disagreement, but when he didn't hear one, he went on. One is to try to enter their minds, but that won't work with the Sharingan, so that's out. Another is attempting to advance, but they are pursuing the role of Hokage, so that is also out. The only other strategy I could think of was to kill those who are voluntarily and joyfully taking part, imprison those who are not, and release those who are unaware of it or who simply choose not to take part. With this, those who are innocent can go free, those who are guilty are dead, and those who only went along with it because they had no choice in the matter, whether due to blackmail or out of fear, are put away in case something like this could happen again, Naruto said, after everyone in the room had given it some thought. That's Ida guilty by association. The village still has a potential police force, Naruto said, looking at the elders. Your want for peace, he said, looking at Sarutobi. In the end, it's not a complete genocide of the clan, so you don't lose the Sharingan down to one person, and you can get more a lot faster, satisfying your want for a strong bloodline. He had planned this out so well that everyone was taken aback. Sarutobi nodded and turned to face the others, asking, who could pull it off? Itachi was asked by Sarutobi. I will do so myself. No, Naruto remarked. I knew you'd want to eliminate them, if only to stop needless bloodshed. But you won't do it alone. No, I'll take care of it. However, you will still be crucial to this. Itachi turned to face him and said, I want you to make sure that the people who should be spared are not present at dusk in 2 days. Within 30 minutes, anyone still in the Uchiha estate will perish. Why you? Itachi inquired. I'll be doing this in a group of 3, Naruto stated, because unlike you, I have help, and can call on them with ease. You are aware of their identities, Lord Hokage. How are you going to convince them to assist you in this situation? I've got the go already. Their game, Naruto informed him. You can't possibly be considering giving the village such power, Koharu called out to him. Naruto informed her, not the village. No, she has a grudge against the Uchiha, and this gives her an excuse to do so. I won't be releasing the seal, and she would be using her own body anyway. I managed to get around it so she could see the outside world. So far, I've only done it twice. Yugo saw her once. My first day at the academy was the other. The 3rd time would be this time. You don't have to be concerned about her losing herself again because I can pull her back if necessary. Once more. Sarutobi inquired. What, you were unaware? My mother's seal on the Kyuubi was broken that night by Uchiha, Naruto inquired. She then lost all control after being triggered by the same Uchiha to experience a bloodlust influenced by genjutsu. The reason Goku is here today is one of the multiple sources of confirmation I have. There was something unusual about his Sharingan. For one, it was a different shape. Additionally, it exuded a deep animosity toward the village. The only two possibilities I can think of are a rogue Uchiha or someone who was meant to be dead but is still alive. Danzo said, there are no Uchiha rogues, which means, yes. In reality, a Uchiha who was thought to be dead is still alive and has gained a Sharingan above the Sharingan. Itachi remarked, Mangekyo Sharingan. That's the next level. Shisui tried to kill me yesterday, so I've already unlocked it. Instead, I killed him. I saw that event. Naruto said, the Kyuubi may or may not be controlled by whoever possesses the upgraded Sharingan, just as the Senju did in the past. They established this village for a secret reason. Few people are aware of it. Biju is under the control of both clans. It should be noted that all of the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki were Uzumaki. There are 3 Uzumaki. Kushina Uzumaki, also known as the Bloody Habanera, Mito Uzumaki, who you are all familiar with as the Shodai Hokage's wife, and me. 3. Jinchuriki. 1 Biju. The Shinigami himself powers my seal, making it the strongest of all. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Is the plan appropriate? Nodding, Sarutobi said, 2 days at dusk. Itachi, if you can get those who should be spared out of there at that precise moment, do so, he said with a nod. Don't explain why to them. You can actually tell Sasuke the truth. He is already aware. He told me 4 days ago that he heard his parents fighting and that Fugaku brought up the coup d'etat. He has stated that he has no interest in it, and he is aware of when this is the case. Be truthful with him, Itachi, and assure him that their sentence will be executed at the scheduled time. As long as no one knows what is actually going to happen, it is up to you, everyone else, how you get them out at that point. With a nod, Itachi said, that is acceptable. You told him what? Until he brought it up, I was really evasive. He is aware that I am aware of it, and he does not wish to be present when the penalty is meted out. In fact, as he left, he cursed the folly of his own father. Naruto remarked, I heard it, barely audible, but he's good. That day, I'll have a mud clone visit him at my house. Nobody else is supposed to know. He is unaware that I have been spying on the Uchiha clan, but I have heard some rumors about what was happening from the forest animals. He only knows that. We will proceed with this plan, Sarutobi said, nodding. I assume it's in everyone's best interests? Then this will be carried out. Naruto and Itachi nodded, as did the elders, including Danzo. Itachi nods with Naruto, who says, remember, Naruto. Discretion is key. Naruto faded out, I know. Make sure they are warned of the events to come, Sarutobi said, turning to face Itachi. You're aware of what to do. Itachi Shunshin said, yes sir. Are you sure it's wise to send him out to do this? The elder asked, glancing at Sarutobi. Koharu inquired. I concur. This is not a smart move, Homura said. Danzo said, actually, I am for it. Consider it. We are able to gauge Uzumaki's control and skill. We can simultaneously create a cover for the entire circumstance. A voice behind them said, no, they turned to face him. No one is to watch or interfere. According to what is known, the Uchiha were fighting among themselves over a pointless issue, which sparked a brawl. Because they were not in the area, the survivors of the fight managed to escape unharmed, while several Uchiha perished in the conflict. They all gave him a look and were taken aback by the cover. It's a good cover, said Koharu. I concur. That would increase the likelihood, but you don't have any fire jutsu, let alone know which ones they would employ. I am familiar with every fire jutsu that has been developed in the last 30 years. I can also make use of them. In addition, I possess earth jutsu and some wind jutsu. That night, I would continue using the fire jutsu. I can't reveal every one of my skills, can I? Naruto retorted. Yes, you are correct, said Sarutobi. When Naruto noticed the old man's recognition, he turned into wind and said, also, beware of the 2 specks of gold. Golden specks? What does that mean? Thought Danzo. He's serious about this. If he's going to warn me about that, then it's obvious he's going to go through with it without hesitation, Sarutobi said deeply in thought. 2 days later, Makoto was in the kitchen reading a book. The real Naruto was in the forests getting ready for the attack. Goku and Akane were right next to him, both in stealth mode, and Sasuke was playing cards in Naruto's apartment. The two had recently become close friends, but Sasuke was playing with a mud clone. Naruto muttered, remember the plan you two? Both of them nodded. 3 minutes later, the entire property was mapped out, with one extra persona whom Naruto knew to be Itachi leaving the area. 2 minutes later, the sun would completely set. They moved into position when Naruto gave them the signal. Begin operation. The sun went down. Roof of Hokage Tower. He really is going for it. Wait, is he using the Hiraishin? No, that would require him to have his father's kunai. He doesn't have them yet. Then where are the lights coming from? I'll have to ask him in the morning. Sarutobi said, glancing toward the Uchiha compound. After half an hour, when nothing was happening and nobody was talking, he decided to call it a night and head home. The following day Sasuke and Makoto thanked Naruto for letting them stay over, but Naruto told them to wait a little while longer. The news went viral in the village. It seems that the Uchiha clan had a fight the night before, and several Uchiha were found dead, some burned, some cut. Sasuke was unconcerned, but Makoto was shocked when he told them that he knew what was happening that night but that no one should know. To her further surprise, Sasuke added, I knew about the coup d'etat, as well, Mom. When did you find out about it? A week ago, I heard you and your father fighting about it. After learning when it was scheduled to take place, Naruto informed me. 3 days have passed since then. I suggested that I stay here because Itachi had instructed me to make sure I wasn't in the estate last night. With someone I can call a friend. Incidentally, Naruto. Sasuke said. I don't see why not, since the more conceited ones are no longer around. Naruto reminded him to keep in mind what he had said. I've been practicing with it, if only to be able to bring it out if needed, Sasuke said, nodding. Nobody else is aware of it. Sasuke. Sasuke activated it and said, I've got my Sharingan, Mom. 2 Tomo were now in each eye. I haven't tried using it that much and I kept it secret until he said it was okay. I haven't yet tried it on another person. Makoto turned to Naruto, looking pleased, and asked, what did you tell him about it? Naruto clarified his statement, saying, well, you know a lot about that topic. But how did you figure out that you don't have a dojutsu? I had to experience the opposite. If I can't see the target dodge, how can I hit them? Essentially, if your body is unable to respond in time, how can you counteract what you observe? The idea is essentially the same, Naruto shrugged. Makoto informed him that they are, and you're right. Naruto answered the door when someone knocked. Naruto Uzumaki. I assume Gigi would like to see me? Bear, the Anbu, nodded. I'm sorry, guys. I must leave. I was with the Hokage, Sasuke, which is why I'm late for class. Mom, do you think it would be a good idea to stay here for a few days? Sasuke began. I'll let Iruka. Sensei know. Allow others to tidy up the estate. Makoto nodded and said, all right, I'll go to the academy. The office of the Hokage Sarutobi activated a privacy seal while Naruto phased in. Well, when did you become proficient in Hiraishin? Sarutobi inquired. What are you saying? Naruto inquired. Don't play dumb with me. The Hiraishin is something I never learned. I only know the general information about it, aside from the fact that I require seals of some kind. There is no way to replicate it, as I haven't even witnessed the seals being used, Naruto clarified. What about the 2 flashes from last night? Sarutobi inquired. Oh, that's fairly simple to explain, Naruto inquired. That was essentially me. 2 standard kunai enhanced with wind chakra, pure speed, and a significant amount of ki being expelled. Since ki is a component of chakra rather than chakra itself, sensor types would not be able to detect its levels. It would be impossible for them to see. Everything else was the same, but Goku was the other light, brandishing a standard kunai. You're telling me that you were able to match the Hiraishin's speed? That's hard for me to believe. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure myself, Naruto shrugged. Yes, I am fast. Is Hiraishin quick? Not sure. Naturally, I removed all restrictions for this. The difference would be indiscernible to a witness. They had no idea what had hit them. How about Sasuke? Makoto and Sasuke are doing well, and they both know that I was aware of the coup d'etat. Makoto also knows that Sasuke was aware of it. Sasuke and I have become close friends, and they are both relieved that someone else is aware of the truth. It's best to keep that in a box of memories because neither of them is aware that I was spying on them. After everything, how do you feel? Sarutobi inquired. I'm at peace, strangely enough, knowing that I've shed some of my conceit. Knowing that there was no other choice, Goku is proud that I'm not allowing their deaths to weigh heavily on my mind with guilt or sadness, and Kyuubi is glad she had a chance to express herself. Kyuubi did provide me with additional helpful information. Oh, raising an eyebrow, Sarutobi said, what's that? A.N. Yes, this is from the movie Wanted. Take 1 life, and, maybe, save 1,000. Naruto said. We can never be sure how far the effects of our choices will spread. The same person can kill more people if they are not killed. A picture of one of his students flashed through Sarutobi's mind as he said, but, if you ever see them again, there's no guarantee they'll be the same as before. Sarutobi said, I really wish I knew about that beforehand. You had a relationship with someone or thought they would change, so you let them go when you could have killed them. Then you don't know how he would progress, and letting him go then would likely bite you in the ass later on in life should you cross paths again, Naruto said, nodding in response. Kit. Bring me out, and I'll speak with him face.to, face. What? Are you insane? I might be. I simply believe that I can better explain it in person. All right, but let me warn him first and make sure he doesn't attack. Gigi. Kyuubi wants to talk to you directly, and you would do that, really? Are you crazy? Sarutobi inquired. Really? Naruto confessed. I was wondering if she was crazy. Sarutobi gave him a brief glance before nodding. If it does anything that would be questionable, I will strike. Naruto nodded and delivered a hand seal that he recognized but did not understand, noted. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Akane. In human form, Akane made an appearance. Hiruzen Sarutobi. As the Kyuubi, are you? Sarutobi inquired, utterly perplexed. Akane Yoko is my real name, but there are a lot of things about Naruto that you should be aware of here. If it has anything to do with your sealing. I apologize for interrupting, but I wouldn't bring up the sealing issue. It doesn't. Akane interrupted. It has to do with a few things that Goku and I both think you ought to be aware of. What are you discussing? Naruto inquired. Do you recall the offer we discussed with you prior to the trip? Akane inquired. Wait, you wish to discuss that with him? And under strict confidentiality, everything else. There will be no discussion of the actual training or of matters that are sworn to secrecy. But it includes the deal, Akane informed him. Naruto gasped. Fine, but remember that you're using a shadow clone, and as such I can still dispel you myself. Then she began discussing the training, the lava monkeys, and his elements. There isn't much I can reveal without breaking oaths regarding his wind element training, so I'll leave that out, Akane said, nodding and turning to Sarutobi. There's a lot you'll need to know about what's been going on between the three of us. Although I'm not even familiar with it, I've noticed that he has access to dust element. The only place in the elemental countries where it usually appears is rock country, which I never visited very often. They won't trust him at all because he also resembles his father, which he is already aware of because of the lava monkeys. Sarutobi said, this is quite a lot you claim is true. She's only hiding what's supposed to be kept secret, but I didn't know about the dust element, Naruto replied. I didn't mention it beforehand for the simple fact there is no one that would be able to trust you enough that can use dust element, replied Akane. You're right. They would naturally despise me at first sight because my dad isn't popular in rock country. Naruto acknowledged, I look too much like my father. Observing the two, Sarutobi said, all right, why are you so careless with her around? All right. She didn't say anything, but that hasn't happened yet, and aside from Goku, her, and me, only Ayame is aware of it. He's not comfortable with many people knowing about it, either. Akane continued, besides, if he want you to know, he could show you, as this is a physical trait, that had nothing to do with me. What are you discussing? Sarutobi's eyes narrowed. Didn't you just have to mention that? Naruto fixed Akane with his gaze. Akane shrugged and Naruto sighed. Sarutobi soon noticed a furry appendage flowing behind him. You're the one that brought up that subject. What gives him a tail? He gave Akane a scowl. That was not my doing, Akane responded. If I had to guess, it may have something to do with Goku turning him into a Saiyan, but I'm not completely sure. Then, recalling all he had been told about Saiyans, including the tails, Sarutobi said, you have got to be kidding me. I'm afraid not. My parents make up half of my blood, and the other half is Saiyan, Naruto remarked. Akane said, I can vouch for that. I did monitor his DNA throughout the entire process. However, Goku did state that wasn't necessary. I take it the golden light last night was you at Super Saiyan state? Sarutobi asked, turning to face him. Are you aware of that? Naruto inquired. Monkey summons all work. I learned about them and Saiyans in general from mine. Do you even know what will happen if I grab it? Sarutobi inquired. Oh, I know. Naruto replied. And I fixed that particular problem while I was with the lava monkeys. Then I leave you to your devices, said Sarutobi, nodding. Just be aware that if she makes any attempts. If I did something improper, he would remember me. You shouldn't worry too much. Additionally, As soon as we stepped into the hyperbolic time chamber for the first time, the last clause of the agreement went into effect. I'd be Goku-san's wife, Akane-san. Our adopted child is Naruto. Since it would be too complicated for him, it's best if no one knows that I'm actually the Kyuubi. Akane concluded, glancing at Naruto, who nervously scratched his neck before complying. Be sure to conceal your tail before someone notices it. When I'm out, I go by Akane-san. It's also best if no one knows about that tail that doesn't already know, Akane said. It's just Kyuubi when I'm in the seal. I'm doing this to keep him and myself safe. If you can't see, it works both ways. After considering all the options, Sarutobi concluded that it would be best to comply. All right, but take caution. I am already aware of the dangers if my identity is revealed. Consequently, it is not to be recorded in any way. Unless I'm wrong, Akane stated. Then Naruto, you better get to class, Sarutobi said, simply nodding. You had better keep an eye on yourself, Akane. Naruto faded away, but Akane remained. There is one more thing you need to know, and I don't think Naruto's old enough to hear it just yet. Akane replied. What is that, too? Goku recently learned about something pertaining to his mother. I don't know how it's possible or what the circumstances are. I only know that we have confirmation on this topic from one of his friends, and you won't believe it. In response, Sarutobi said, I'm listening, it appears.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.